Good evening and welcome to the November 18th meeting of the East Point City Council. Madam City Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Shropshire. Councilmember Freely. Councilmember Ziegler. Councilmember Cummings. Councilmember Mitchell. Councilmember Butler. And Councilmember Martin Rogers. Mayor Holiday Ingram, we have a quorum.
Good. Pastor Jamie Vernon from Tri-Cities Church will be giving our invocation tonight. Please stand and remain standing for the pledge of the flag.
Let's pray. Father God, we pray for our great city. We thank you for it. We thank you for its past, its present, and its future. We pray, God, for safety. We pray, God, for peace. We pray, God, for prosperity. God, we pray for this meeting tonight that you'll guide the thoughts, you'll guide the words that are said, and that we will be quick to listen, slow to speak. We ask it in the name of Jesus. Amen. The flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Sergeant at Arms this evening is Captain Robinson. Thank you so much for your service this evening. Presentations and announcement. First presentation we have is from Georgia Stand Up regarding the EPA Environmental and Climate Justice Community Change Grant opportunity. And I see the city clerk coming down. Great. Okay. So I'm going to invite Deborah Scott and her team to come up to provide the information on the grant and the opportunity.
I'm sorry. Good evening. How's everyone? Great. Thank you. That's not us? No. Okay, that's great. So thank you, Mayor and Council, for having us. I'm Deborah Scott from Georgia Stand Up. I'm the CEO of Georgia Stand Up. We are right down the street on Sylvan Road in East Point, and we are Think and Act Tank for Working Communities. We have been around for 20 years. We're actually, in September, we celebrated our 20th year. And today I come before you because there are some opportunities for grant money, and we thought about how we could partner with the city of East Point. So there is a grant that is available that we are applying for. It's a Community Change, EPA Community Change Grant. And we would like to partner with the city of East Point on that grant. Just a little bit about Georgia Stand Up, the first one? Down. Okay, a little bit about Georgia Stand Up. Georgia Stand Up is a Think and Act Tank for Working Communities. We're founded in 2004. I've been the executive director and then CEO since 2005. We have done a lot of work over the last 20 years. I'm a graduate of Clark Atlanta University. I have a 40-year history as a civil rights and social justice activist and nonprofit organization, but we also do workforce development and pre-apprenticeship programs, so we're always looking for opportunities for our communities. Next, I'm telling someone else to do next slide. Just a little bit about our mission. Our goal is to try to help communities to equalize the playing field, whether it's environmental issues, or whether it's transit, whether it's transportation, whether it's affordable housing. We're always trying to figure out how we can help and support our communities. So this EPA grant is a Track 2 grant, and it requires it to be a nonprofit organization, which Georgia Stand Up has been for 20 years. And there's $3 million associated with this grant. Not that we'll get the full amount, but we're going to try. One of the things we've been doing for a number of years is what we call our Policy Institute, which is a leadership development program that we've been doing for a number of years with 400 plus graduates. In this particular grant, we would like to do a policy institute with the City of East Point and your respective organizations that have already been doing some climate change, climate justice, environmental justice kind of awareness, whether it's health equity. So we talked to a couple of groups that are already doing work in East Point. And so what we see this as is all of those groups that are doing this work that are pretty underfunded because they're community groups, if we can pull them into a cohort together, they could invite the key players, and we can start solving some of these problems together. So part of this grant is, one, to facilitate this Policy Institute and to educate both the residents and to look at the federal government and as well as the city government, and looking at the CDP and how we can help to facilitate some of the recommendations that were in this original CDP from 2023. Communication and transparency, of course, is always a part of what we're doing. So we want to make sure it's a collaborative effort. So we would lean on City of East Point residents and City of East Point organizations to nominate people to participate in this leadership development. I know that there are signs. I love coming, through East Point because I see the signs that tell people that they are really concerned about what's happening in the environment and climate change. So it's right for this kind of grant. One of the things on the budget, just to go over a high level, it's a $3 million grant. We would partner with the organizations on the ground. It's a 3-year project. And because there are already some organizations that are doing work, we try to do is to leverage what's already being done, not start something new. So since there's already a community environmental group and a community advisory group, there are already community activists, this is a great way to segment and try to give them a little bit of resources to help with the work that they're doing connected to your CDP. So we would also work with Morehouse School of Medicine and the Atlanta University Center and some of the other agencies to help bring in experts to deal with some of the problems or aha moments that may come out of this. The other goal of this is for this to be a collaborative effort that oftentimes, and particularly in the 40 years I've been doing this kind of work, sometimes it's an adversarial relationship between the community and government. And having worked for government for years, I understand that tension is there, but this model is designed for us to co-create together and to really be student ambassadors together on these projects. Some of the benefits of the relationships, of course, is, we get to solve some of these problems together. We're talking about changing communities from the inside out, so what that means they need to be informed about what's going on and what the opportunities are. And it also is just a collaborative effort because we are here in the City of East Point as well. I wanted to save time for questions or any other concerns that you may have. And I'd like a letter of support for this grant. It does require a partnership, and so we'd like a letter of support. It does not have any financial relationship that you need to, that the City of East Point, we're not asking for budget from you. We're trying to bring resources to City of East Point instead of asking for resources. But I can see some collaborative space use. Our office is 10,000 square feet. Sometimes the class might need to be at City Hall or another agency. We'd like agencies to come in and basically share their knowledge with the community. So the class would need to move around depending on what we're talking about. So the kind of in-kind support that we would need would be meeting spaces. But other than that, the grant provides for the food and whatever stipends, travel, all of those things if we need to look at other cities and other models. Again, what we looked at is the comprehensive development plan and how can we help to get you to fulfill some of the things that you say that you want to do. And so we stand as a partner, once again, and happy to support.
Thank you so much for your presentation and sharing this opportunity with us. Councilmember Butler.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I wanted to make the motion that we approve the request for a letter of support, but council may have questions regarding how to use the facilities, so I'm willing to stand down on that motion if there are other questions.
So we have one or two options. You can make the motion for the letter of support and use of the city annex, and then we can just have discussion on the motion, or we can continue with discussion and then come back to a motion.
If it pleases the council, I would like to make the motion as stated by you.
So there's a motion to approve providing a letter of support to Georgia Stand Up for the Environmental Climate Justice Community Change Grant and for use of the city annex for meeting space. Motion was made by Councilmember Butler. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Discussion. Councilmember Butler, did you have anything else before I go to the other council members?
No, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Cummings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your presentation. So I know you wanted to partner with East Point. Were there any other cities that you were?
Yes, so we had looked at partnering with the city of Atlanta and decided not to go in that direction because there was a lot of grants already coming out of the city of Atlanta, and because we are actually housed in East Point. We're right on the line, but we're in East Point, so we thought best to let's withdraw our application from that process, because I think they had 8 to 10, and focus on a much smaller city that could actually benefit from this.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Shropshire.
Thank you. And my question is this, and I noticed that you want to use the city facility for training and class?
Well, what we usually do is about 6 to 8 classes or sessions in each of the series that we do.
Mm-hmm.
We usually do a first one in person. It's always nice to do it at City Hall or someplace that is of status. So we would say maybe the first and the last session would be at City Hall. The other ones we would move around, have it at our office in other locations.
So my question is this, will these classes be for the residents of East Point?
Absolutely, yes. They're for the residents of East Point, and particularly in Ward A and B is where, because you had to specify the census tract that could benefit, and so in the grant, we're putting in Ward A and B, and those census tracts comply with the grant.
Okay, because I know it says near Campbellton Road is on here, but you say it's basically, but will
Yes.
other wards like C and D, they can come and participate?
Yes,
it's
so we will
citywide.
open it up, and let me reference why Campbellton Road was in there in the beginning, is because when we first started working at the closure of Fort McPherson back in 2007 and then 2011, we did a study about the impact of Fort McPherson closure on both the city of Atlanta and the East Point side, and what happens on that base, and now, Tyler Perry Studio affects everyone. And so we saw that East Point was left out sometimes of that conversation about the impacts of transit projects. So because Campbellton Road is going through a bus rapid transit system, that's going to impact that entire side on the side of Fort McPherson or Tyler Perry Studios. So that has an implication for East Point. So we wanted to just name that it actually will affect
Impact
us.
that. But it is open citywide to all residents?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, all those, question, Councilmember Shropshire asked the question, and in the discussion, Ms. Scott indicated a desire to potentially have like the opening and closing events here at City Hall. And so maybe if there could be a friendly amendment to the motion, instead of being specific about the city annex, use of city facility, and let them work out where those sessions would be.
So I have-
Councilmember Shropshire.
So now that brings me to this, when you say opening and closing sessions right here is it City Hall or the city annex?
Wherever you all deem best, and we put money in the budget for those ceremonies, so it's not going to be a cost To put it
I
on.
think utilizing the city annex.
The city annex?
Well, the motion is already for the city annex, and so we wouldn't need a friendly amendment on that.
Thank you. I'm at the council's leisure on this one. So whatever we agree to, I'm fine with. And so if we don't make the friendly amendment, the motion stands, but if you would like to amend it, I'm open to that too.
What's the desire? I mean, so generally our workforce development and training programs are held at the annex, and
Okay.
they do open and closing there, and so we can let the motion still stand.
Okay.
Anyone? Okay. So any discussion on the motion? Hopefully I haven't confused people on the motion. Letter of support and use to the city annex. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you again so much for bringing this
Thank you.
opportunity to us, and we
We're
are
gonna
going
get
to
it.
be sending good vibes and pray that we actually receive the funding
Thank
to
you.
be able to provide this much-needed work around
Thank you. We'll
environmental justice.
report back. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
So the next item, Councilmember Martin Rogers, is the resolution of City of East Point consenting to expansion of Airport West Community Improvement District and removal of certain parcels. Is there anyone here from the CID? Okay. Robert, come forward. How are you this evening? Press that button for me.
I'm well. How are you this evening?
Great. Do you have a presentation or?
I don't. I
Okay,
was
perfect.
just
You brought up
asking.
your laptop, so I was like,
Oh, no,
about
I
to tell
just,
you.
it's my safety blanket.
Okay, no worries. Like Lionel, right? Go ahead.
We were just asking for the approval of the resolution. We have,
Can you give us an overview of what the request is? And I'm not sure if you brought the resolutions with you. So while I work out some logistics, if you could provide council with an overview of what this is, what the request specifically is for, what the expansion would do, and then we'll try to get a copy of that resolution to all council members. It's my understanding that either the interim city manager, city attorney, or you send it to the clerk. The clerk have it, so if you all could print that as well as the one for Milton, that would be great. Go ahead, Robert. Thank you.
yes, ma'am. So we've been undergoing expansion work, which essentially means that we go out to various property owners, some of whom are in East Point. We ask them to join the CID. They sign a consent form. We take this consent form package, we package it up in a way, give it to Fulton County, and they approve it. Once they approve it, we go, while they're approving it, we need to go to each of the jurisdictions in which there will be properties added and ask them to essentially approve a resolution that okays the expansion for their particular municipality.
Where are you thinking about expanding to? So explain like what the CID is right now, and where you're expanding to.
Yes, ma'am. We have about, I was anticipating this question, we have about 4 properties over off Willingham Drive that will be coming in. I can give you the exact parcel IDs along with the,
That's why these are like kind of this vicinity.
well, a lot of them are non-frontage roads, so they have addresses of 0 Willingham Drive. They don't have street frontage.
Anything in the area? Is there anything near it?
I'm not,
Okay.
without a map in front of me about where the specific parcels are, it's kind of, I would have to.
So if the CIDs are basically the property owners, private property owners, not public, agree to be a part of it, why is the city's consent needed to expand it?
I guess that's because that's how the legislation was originally written. I'm not entirely sure about that question.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to ask some questions while I don't see anybody has left to go make copies yet for council. I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Martin Rogers since this is her item. Councilmember Martin Rogers.
So from my meeting with Gerald on last week, the expansion is over in the Willingham corridor, and these parcels are coming into the already established CID. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Atlanta Community Improvement District. Can you just elaborate a little bit on what the Community Improvement District is and what it was set up for?
Yes, ma'am. A community improvement district essentially takes voluntary millage from willing property owners who have a commercial or industrial zoning. Our particular millage is 5 mills. It is a voluntary tax. Residential property owners do not pay this. Non-members of the CID do not pay this. It is a voluntary thing. We provide, our particular CID is focused on transportation improvements, beautification, litter control efforts, grant work when and where appropriate. We have a mowing and maintenance agreement along Camp Creek Parkway at the I-285, along Camp Creek Parkway, generally State Route 6, from South Fulton all the way to where it terminates at I-85. So we also just generally help to coordinate the in-between areas, if you will, of the municipalities.
So it's my understanding that this is time sensitive and that you all need it hopefully from us tonight. And so unfortunately though, council doesn't have the resolution right now. So we're just in the presentation portion. I'm going to ask you to kind of wait around, and after we go through the presentations, probably at the end, we should have it so that council can look at it to decide whether or not they'd like to adopt that tonight.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Next presentation, Councilmember Butler, Sister City Program.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Judy, do you mind approaching the podium?
Are you inviting up Councilmember Butler?
Yes, ma'am. This is Mrs. Judy Nakady, and I'll read the introduction as we speak. Mayor, council members, and citizens of East Point. I'm sorry, the city clerk has a slide presentation too. Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind just pausing, giving us a moment, I'll go to the proclamation, which should allow our city clerk to come back, and we'll have her pull up the presentation, so you all will be able to have that. Yeah, if you just give us just a moment, please. All right. All right, Councilmember Shropshire, item number 4.
So item number 4 is a premature awareness proclamation. And if the Zetas, Phi Beta sorority would come up. Okay, Mayor.
All right, good evening. Thank you all so much for being here this evening and to help us spotlight or shine a spotlight on an important issue and even been classified as a health crisis within our country and the world, premature babies and premature births. And so I have a proclamation in recognition of Prematurity Awareness Month that I will read, and also thank you all for your work and partnership with the March of Dimes. Whereas premature birth is the delivery of an infant before 37 weeks of pregnancy, and it often results in babies born too small with complications that can last a lifetime. And whereas premature babies who survive may suffer immediate complications and often face lifelong health problems such as learning disabilities, vision and hearing impairments, and cerebral palsy. And whereas premature birth is a leading cause of infant mortality before year 1 in Georgia, and the March of Dimes has worked extensively to promote access to health services and health coverage to help reduce premature births. And whereas the Kappa Iota Zeta chapter of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated has established a tradition of working in partnership with the March of Dimes to promote prematurity awareness. And whereas the month of November is recognized as World Prematurity Awareness Month to bring about recognition of this global health crisis, and November 17th is recognized as Prematurity Awareness Day across the United States. And whereas the City of East Point is honored to recognize the observance of Prematurity Awareness Month, and the partnership between the Kappa Iota Zeta chapter of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated and the March of Dimes to shine a spotlight on premature babies with the hope that it will lead to better understanding and increase awareness. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Dina Holiday Ingram, along with the City Council, do hereby encourage all residents to increase their awareness of the effects of prematurity and best practices regarding appropriate responses, resources, and the ways we can work together to combat premature births. So thank you so much. I will come down and present this to you, but before I do, you can go ahead and say anything if you'd like.
Thank you so much. My name is Dr. Karen Dudley. I am one of the members of Kappa Iota Zeta, and we have many of our Stork Nest committee here as well. We have our chair here as well, and we are very happy to accept this and honored, and we feel blessed. I've been caring for babies for 20 years, and we understand exactly everything that you had mentioned and more. We are able to do much wonderful things when these babies come. We know that technology has advanced so that the limits of viability has gotten lower and lower, down to around 22 weeks now. But the one challenge that we have is, as you probably already saw in the March of Dimes, the report that was just released a couple of days ago, we as a country have a D+ rating as far as prevention of prematurity, and Georgia, unfortunately, we have an F. But that does not where we at Kappa Iota Zeta, and we know that that's not where we as the community is going to lead us. We take that as a charge to say that we are going to work harder, we're going to do more, and we're going to band together as a village and a community to make these numbers better. So thank you so much for recognition of our work. We are honored and pleased to be here.
Thank you so much for your service. Hold on just a moment. Councilmember Butler.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I would like to say thank you, O Most Noble Greeks, for the hard work that you do. We really do appreciate that. And for you to undertake this particular goal is daunting, but I know that you can do it. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to present this to you all, and thank you so much for your service. So, council, the city clerk is just passed out the resolution. I think it has attachments, but the document to look at is just one in a paragraph page resolution on top. This is on the presentation number 3, resolution of the City of East Point consenting to expansion of Airport West community improvement districts and removal of certain parcels. So I've been informed that this needs to go to Fulton County this week, which is why they're asking that we consider it tonight, this page right here. Councilmember Ziegler.
Yes, thank you. So is there a better map? Because I can't tell where these are located. And also on the back, it gives a name. Is this a particular site?
Robbie, if you could come back forward, I'm sorry. So it looks like the properties are Penske Truck Leasing Company.
It's the TWTs. The Penske truck, I actually just noticed that is a miscode that I will have to rectify. That's actually in the city of Atlanta. But the TWT Land LLCs are the properties in question.
So when you say TWT, are you referring to the Thomas W. Tiff properties?
I would assume so, yes.
And I'm sorry, so is this the TIF site?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a reason why I wasn't included on these conversations?
Councilmember Ziegler is asking a question. I'm assuming that's of either Mr. Robbie or Councilmember Martin Rogers. Councilman Martin Rogers?
It wasn't that you weren't included, but the Atlanta CID was established, I want to say, back in 2007.
Early 2010s, I believe.
Yeah, so I was contacted by them because I've been in communication with their offices because their office is located in Ward D. So it wasn't a slight against where this particular parcel is located, but the Atlanta CID office is located in East Point, Georgia. Ever since coming onto council, I've contacted them because they do help with our litter cleanup and picking up of other areas throughout East Point, but I was just informed of this parcel. I think I had a meeting with Gerald on Thursday of last week, so I was just informed of this new parcel coming into the Atlanta CID, but we have quite a few parcels. They are just now joining in, but it wasn't We
didn't intend to leave anybody out. It was just, these were the properties that agreed to it. We have an expansion agent who goes out and talks to various potential membership that are appropriately zoned, commercial or industrial. He has a conversation with them. He tells them what we are about, what we do, and sometimes they sign in and sometimes they don't.
Okay. And this is just in my ward, and I'm very close to the environmental issues that surround this site. And, we didn't have any of this information coming into this meeting. This is the first time that we're looking at this. And when is it that you need a determination from us? It has to be tonight, or can we wait until next meeting?
So I reached out to Gerald McDowell, and he indicated that they need to present it to Fulton County this week. I reached out to him while we were in the meeting. Yeah, it needs to send to the Fulton County this week.
Okay, that's disappointing to hear. And so can we go over what this is and what we're actually voting on and can you just explain what this is?
Yes, ma'am. It's essentially saying that we're adding in this full list of parcels. We're getting agreement from all of the jurisdictions in which these parcels are in. There is some special language in this resolution that will remove certain parcels from the CID because of an oversight in the 2017 expansion. We included some parcels that shouldn't have been in there, so there's some language in this particular resolution that takes those out.
And what is that you just explained? Like the D17, what is that?
Can you repeat your question? I'm sorry.
You had said something about D17, or what was it that you just said that this?
Oh, 2017,
2017.
excuse me, yeah. During the 2017 expansion, some parcels got miscoded as being a CID when they were not in the CID. This is just removing those parcels from the list using the appropriate legal language.
Okay, and what are you using the parcels for?
I just wanted to clarify something, Councilmember Ziegler. I think I may have misspoke. You're asking about the Tift environmental site. These are properties owned by Thomas W. Tift. So there, I think 3 or 4 of them. 3261 South Martin Street, 3205 South Martin Street, 0 Norman Berry Drive, and 3150 Norman Berry Drive. So I think I misspoke. I don't think it's the Tift environmental site. They're owned by Thomas W. Tift. Now, if those 2 are the same, then...
Can I answer her
Go ahead.
question? To answer your question about what we are going to use this site for, we are not going to use this site for anything. They will simply become CID parcel members and pay millage to us so that we can provide services like beautification, mowing, project management for GDOT, for GDOT projects, that kind of thing.
I'm in, Mayor.
I'm not quite done yet. Is there a better map that can be provided to us so that we can see exactly where this is?
I'm not sure what map you have. Can I?
It's this one.
I can zoom. I have a copy here on my computer that you can zoom in a little closer on. I also have the GIS files if you would like to see those as well.
Okay, if the clerk can send that out to everybody. I don't know if that's appropriate thing to do.
GIS files?
It's actually the files. It's not like a website or anything like that.
They're on my computer. They're
Okay.
the files that I use to generate the map that you're looking at there. I can show you, I can zoom in on my computer so that you can see a little better.
Is there a way that you can, that's an Apple, so I don't think it's compatible with our system unless you have a converter.
I do not, ma'am. I left it at
So if you want to show something, you could email it to the city clerk and she could pull it up on the computer and maybe we can zoom in.
She has it. She has it.
Yes, ma'am.
She has to put it on this laptop?
So the owner name on one of these parcels is Michael Henry Channon. I believe that's one of the owners of the problematic sites. I don't know. Oh, it says non-consenting properties. On the second table. Mm-hmm. And what's the purple? I don't see that in the legend.
Excuse me, that's our CID boundaries
Okay.
for Airport West.
Can the clerk zoom in the section that's in Ward B, that's under discussion?
Where are you looking at?
Is that green?
The green, okay.
Yeah, the green there at the top. Yeah.
Right here?
Yes.
Somewhere? Zoom somewhere, or?
And then was there a property south of this? Or is that in a different, or is that not pertinent to us? I think there was a green parcel down.
It's railroad right-of-way, which is treated as public right-of-way, so we'll expand over that essentially. We'll use the public right-of-way to kind of come up and around. So once this is approved by Fulton County, we can expand the border to kind of encapsulate it. But it will be jumping over public right-of-way.
Okay, and this is just for you to get some money for beautification projects? Is that what I had heard?
It goes to just a general revenue operating fund, beautification and litter control are one of the things that we do.
Okay. But you wouldn't have any like control over these properties or anything like that?
No, ma'am. No, it entirely remains, at the disposal of the property owner.
Okay. And how much money would you be gaining?
Approximately about $26,000 a year in revenue
Okay.
for the entire expansion.
Okay.
Are you, I would like to speak.
Okay.
Councilman Martin, right?
Yes, and so sorry to put you on the spot here, but I misspoke when I said 2007. You all have been in inception since 2017. Is that correct? That's what the resolution states. If you read further into the resolution, it says, whereas by the act of the legislature 1987, Georgia 5460, as amended, the Georgia legislature enacted the Fulton County Community Improvement Districts Act. So we in fact have the city of College Park and also the city of East,
Go ahead.
and also the city of East Point in 2014 and expanded into the city of Hapeville in 2016. The resolution goes on to state that whereas subsequent to the creation of the CID, the city of South Fulton was created in a geographical area including real property within the CID. The elected mayor and city council took office May 1st, 2017, and whereas a majority of the owners of real property within the proposed expansion area as attached hereto, which will be subject to taxes, fees, and assessments levied by the district board, have consented in writing for their inclusion into the CID. So the CID, is it helpful to most cities that participate in the community improvement district or no?
I would like to believe that we are useful, yes.
And do you have a measurement or a data instrument? Now, you did say that you all work on beautification projects and also litter control, but you also offer courses as well to cities and local residents as to what it is you do. Your office is open to the community. Can you just expand a little bit more about the CID and what it is that you all offer? or what you're doing not only to help the city of East Point, but the city of College Park, city of South Fulton, and now, I believe, Hapeville, or Hapeville has been a part of the CID. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you for the question. So to elaborate a little bit more on the classes, we do have a public safety director. He helps coordinate various kinds of trainings between entities like code enforcements, and I think just recently he had a cargo theft workshop in which he brought in police departments from Atlanta, East Point, College Park, CSX. I think even some corporation security arms showed up to discuss the problem of cargo theft in the Aerotropolis area. Additionally, I am managing the Welcome All Road Connector project. I get to go down to the Fulton County City Courthouse later this week to dig up some easement records for the railroad that they would like so that we can keep that progressing. I'll be overseeing right-of-way acquisition in the city of Atlanta and in the city of East Point. We're working on various micro-transit initiatives. I can't tell you much about those because I am not personally involved with them, but my boss, Crystal Harris, is. But we are actively working to not only be a partner to the cities, but to expand the reach of services like MARTA and to extend the hours as well as the reach.
Any other question or discussion from council? Councilmember Butler.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the resolution to add the parcels into the CID.
Second.
If you could just read the top of the resolution for me, Councilmember Butler.
Yes, ma'am. I make the motion that we approve the resolution of the East Point City Council consenting to expansion of Airport West Community Improvement District and removal of certain parcels.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Next up, back to Sister City Program, Councilmember Butler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ms. Norcady, could you please come to the podium? Madam Mayor, City Council members, and citizens of East Point, we are in for a great gift and a tremendous treat today with the presence of a true revolutionary. A woman once exiled, go back, no, not there, go back, yeah, there we go. A woman was exiled from her home country of South Africa to protect her life against apartheid. As expressed by the author Esperazi Carraza, I'm sorry, I mispronounced that name a little bit. If you don't know Judy Norcady, I don't know where you've been hiding. Since Johannesburg emerged from the dark hole of apartheid, Judy has been a shining star in the firmament of the city's most glamorous and socially invested denizen. Judy is known in the way that gets you invited to sit on multiple boards and to run stuff. Big, important stuff. Nuclear power stations, tourism infrastructure, development as the chair of Gauteng tourism. And yet, she is light of spirit and above all, super fun. She is the kind of person to invite you to a dinner with a Jamaican ambassador and a Jamaican Michelin star chef, just because. Holding a Bachelor of Social Science in Chemistry, Psychology, Sociology, and Public Administration from University of Cape Town, Judy is a senior advisor to the President of South Africa, Ramaphosa, and she's been an advisor to President Clinton's Bilateral Commission on Health. Judy's philosophy is, I live with a very simple set of values. It's about love, and it's about life. East Point, Let's welcome Judy Norcady.
There we go. Firstly, Honourable Mayor, Your Excellency, and to your fellow council members, it is a wonderful privilege to be here tonight and an absolute honour. And it's also incredible to see democracy at work at a local government level and at a county level. And our democracy is 30 years old. We've just celebrated, this is our 30th year of democracy. And we have many, many lessons to learn, and of course, in turn, lessons to share. So, without further ado, let me give you a taste of a little bit of what we look like where I come from in terms of the city of Johannesburg. Will this play? Is it encrypted? Oh. The sound.
People of Kabwe names in an extraordinary history by showing the world that peace, this is who we are. More than 60 million different voices echoing in harmony from the southernmost part of the continent. The ordinary people of Kabwe names in an extraordinary history by showing the world that peace is always better than war. Our reach is not limited by our borders, bringing joy in people's hearts and a spark of rhythm to their lives. This is a welcome home of opportunity, inspiring millions to look here in search of a better life, and sharing our best with the world. We are home to undulating mountains, flowers, endless seas, the beautiful animal kingdom, and the ever-changing seasons that color our world. We are the birthplace of humanity, a showcase of human excellence. We believe in South Africa. We are inspired by our victories of the past and our strong institutions to overcome the challenges of today and build a better tomorrow. This is who we are. South Africa. South Africa, inspiring you. This is a message by South Africa.
So, thank you very much for that clip, and I do hope you are all excited as I invite you to come to South Africa and visit us. And Your Excellency Mayor, it would be wonderful if you could come and exchange with us at our local municipal level as well. So, and of course, to the members of the community, a very warm good evening from South Africa. We don't quite do it like this back home, so I've already got a wonderful lesson I can take back home with me. But I think first and foremost, why am I here? I think sort of it was just after COVID when we did a virtual meeting, and we talked about what possibly, what could we, I just want to go to the next slide. There should be more. Okay, I can talk. And really the question was, what could we do as two different parts of the world, and what could we share with our communities, and how could we foster trade, and how could we talk about our opportunities with each other? And I just want to share with you a little story. And that is, in 1950, my parents and many, many other parents in South Africa experienced firsthand what I think you have a common history and heritage with as well, where 3.5 million South Africans who look like me and maybe a little darker than me, we woke up one morning and we had to leave our homes. Those were my parents. One of the things the police did, the first thing the police did was they would destroy any musical instrument in the house, because music often is so powerful in terms of community and keeping community together. And I would imagine, like many in your families, celebrations and family is always about music and food. And then, so I was born a few years after that, in 1959. This particular piece of legislation was called the Group Areas Act, and they began to enforce it very vigorously and violently. And they would come to a family, and a person who looked like me would be classified colored, and some of my family members were classified as other colored or mixed colored. They had various names for us, and if any of the brothers, sisters, cousins were any darker, we would then be divided up. People like me were moved into areas which were called colored areas, and black people went to black areas, and Malay people went to Malay areas. And so for the first 20 years of my life, really, when they moved us often, well, I was moved to an area where there was no running water, there was no electricity, there was no sanitation, there was no roads, no electricity. And we'd come from areas which were then given to white families where they had everything that we had had. So I think I had my first wash with water out of a tap. I must have been 14. And for young girls, those were very dehumanizing years. We had no toilets. We had what was called a bucket system. And if you were lucky, the toilets would be collected every second week. And then fast forward to 1976, I was in matric, and we then shut the country down. We had had enough. My parents and their generation were very, I suppose, the first generation and the second generation of violence, they are beaten into submission. And then radicals like us, when I was 30 years younger, we decided, we were all 17, 18, that was enough, and we closed the country. And that was the beginning of the shift of what people have now become, that what people have come to know as South Africa. So, in just over 100 and odd days ago, we had an election. It was our first election after 30 years. We celebrated democracy 30 years ago. And it was a very scary period in the country because there was a mood in the country that nobody really knew where we were going. And suffice to say, we were able to hold a peaceful election. We now, for the first time, have a government made up of 10 different political parties, which has never happened before. In the past, it was always one party, the African National Congress. And so it's very early days for us in terms of what we need to do as this young democracy. But what we do know is that this government has to be successful because we have 60% unemployment with our young people. And that's a horrific number. We have a demographic divide where the majority of our people are young. And if we don't grow our economy, and that's one of the reasons too, we would like to engage with you in East Point to learn from you how you manage your science, technology, engineering, maths with young people. How do you create opportunities for young people? Because we know that the future is our young people. And as this young democracy, we have to ensure that we future-proof for our young people. So, growing up as a colored, today I was arrested not so long ago, again. I spent most of my young years in prison. If not in prison, then about to be arrested. And I left the country, I came back, and I was arrested because I refused to be called colored. And the cops had said, the police officer had said, by virtue of how I look, that I'm colored. And then I was taken to the cells, and it was quite an awful trial and a court case. And part of what we're trying to encourage is embracing the multiple identities of who we are. We're women, we're South Africans, we're black, we're mixed race, we are who we are. And so I thought just to give you a sense of what we struggle with and why tourism is so important and why traveling to each other's countries becomes a very powerful tool to shift the way in which we view each other, to embrace different points of view, because I'm sure you're aware of the position our country's taken on some of the very serious matters that are ravaging the world at the moment, because we know that hatred and war is not the answer. There are no winners, and that we have to spread the message of love. And so we believe that between Johannesburg and East Point, that we can build a bridge between our cultures, that we can use our relationship, if you are willing, to foster this relationship between the two areas, to develop economic growth and become guardians of our collective heritage. Because tourism is the heartbeat of our world, connecting us through shared experiences, fostering understanding, and very importantly, preserving the tapestry of our past. It is through travel. Also, if we intersect as Johannesburg and Gauteng as East Point, you have your unique selling points, we have ours. You saw a little bit of those in the video, our rich tapestry and our landscape. And when I arrived here today, it's my first time in Atlanta. I've been in many other parts, especially Washington. I've done a lot of visiting Washington, as we were fostering our new democracy. I was blown away by the beauty. It is the trees. And maybe you're not aware of the fact that Johannesburg is the largest man-made forest. So it's an urban jungle, but we have the greatest number of trees, all planted. And it reminded me so much of home, looking at your beautiful fall, the colors of the leaves changing. It's summer at home, and fall or autumn, as we call it, is a very beautiful part and season of a season to begin to prepare for winter and then for rebirth and summer. And so sport, we are crazy about sport. South Africans, like Americans, we all love our sport. We're the only country that's hosted 3 World Cups: rugby, which we won, cricket that we win, soccer that we win. But I suppose the reason why many Americans come to South Africa, it's because of our wildlife, our beaches, the undulating mountains, and more so now for healthcare. We have phenomenal healthcare services. The currency is 1 to 18, so if you can't afford orthodontic work in East Point, you can come to South Africa. We have fine dentists, we have fine cardiologists, neurologists, but above all, people come for aesthetic work as well. So, over and above all of that, we have an expression that's called Zwakala, and that means come. And I'd like to end this by saying, as we celebrate our 30th year of democracy, and next year we'll be hosting the G20, it's the first time the G20 will be held on African soil. And in Gauteng, where I'm the chairperson of the Tourism Authority, we won the rights to host the G20. So I'd like to say Zwakala, come to South Africa next year. Come as local elected councillors, but more importantly, that if the residents and the community members of East Point would also like to come, I think it would be a very exciting opportunity to do a leisure as well as a political event. The politicians, you go off and you meet local councillors, you meet your counterparts, the fabulous people of East Point, and young people come, and as Gauteng Tourism Authority we can arrange both the leisure side as well as the political side. And then I'd like to end off with something that I suppose we've become known for. Mandela epitomized this, Bishop Tutu epitomized it, and it's something called Ubuntu. And what does Ubuntu mean? It means that my humanity is bound up in yours, for we can only be human together. And if I am dehumanized, you are dehumanized, because we are, as we say, we are interconnected and we are community. I am because we are. This core principle emphasizes our identity as South Africans and Africans, and our well-beings here in East Point and in Johannesburg are inextricably linked to the communities we belong to. And this word defines a world that often is all about individualism, but Ubuntu reminds us of the importance of collective action and shared responsibility. Ubuntu promotes harmony and sharing. It promotes values of compassion, empathy, and generosity. ethical leadership, social justice, environmental stewardship, resilience and hope. It is a word and a world in this world marked by division and conflict. Ubuntu provides a framework for building a more compassionate, just, and sustainable future. It reminds us that our shared humanity is our greatest strength, and that by embracing these values of Ubuntu, we can create a better world for all. And this is what we will be using next year at the G20 as the world becomes more divided, is to promote the spirit of Ubuntu. So thank you for listening to me. We'd like to see in the next 2 years maybe a twinning agreement between ourselves and yourselves, and together we can create a better world, if not for us, but definitely for our children. Thank you.
Thank
Mayor
you, Councilwoman
and
Butler.
councillors.
Madam Mayor, I understand, allow council people to ask any questions that they may want.
Council. I will use this time, I don't see anybody in. Thank you so much for being here this evening and for sharing with us. We did join the Sister Cities International as approved by council, and Terry Simmons, who's a partner at Arnold, Golden, and Gregory, is the state representative for Sister Cities International organization. She and I finally were able to meet towards the end of October. She does a lot of travel to Germany, and I talked to her about just the Sister Cities process. And so what she shared a lot of information. She shared that the city of Atlanta started their Sister Cities Commission under Mayor Franklin's administration. And at that time, they had funding in the budget. It continued through Mayor Reed, and I think the maximum was 50,000. It was anywhere between that or less, and I'm not sure that it was replenished, but that it hasn't been funded necessarily since then. The city of Atlanta has about 18 sister cities, and they're really born out of public-private partnerships and out of existing, I guess, businesses who are already operating in the city of Atlanta who have international ties. And so she suggested doing an asset map of sorts, or identifying businesses within our city who have connections internationally, or even residents or other organizations. And then that there would should be a proposal presented or presentation, and Ms. Judy, I'm sorry, how do you pronounce your last name?
Nokedi.
Nuki?
Nokedi.
Nokedi.
Yes.
Presented tonight with a proposal is shared with the city on how it would be mutually beneficial or supportive, what synergies exist. She mentioned that there is a strong connection, I guess, with the German community. She was about to host some students from Germany, but the funding for that actually came from the German American Cultural Foundation, and so there wasn't like funding from the city to provide travel or cover that cost. Maybe when there's an official delegation approved by the city, once the MOU is in place, that might happen, but it's really about public-private partnerships and trying to get outside funding. And she said once, like if there's the interest in, a champion for whatever region and there's a proposal, and if the council explores it, they can help us explore the potential benefits of partnering with different cities or countries, countries within cities. And then the way that a sister city relationship is actually formalized is through a MOU or a formal agreement. And there could be a commission of sorts. And also talked about working with our East Point Convention and Visitors Bureau to identify champions or assets within the city. So that's the process that she shared. They're willing to help us navigate that process should an interest arise, and help. I think of course they have sample MOUs and formal agreements, but also the support around how do we consider and explore those. Still,
Thank you for your presentation and for coming. I just wanted to say that, transparency is really important. And sometimes, people can have good intentions, but then break trust sometimes. And so I just, if we're going to do this and if this is the route that we're going to go, I just hope that all of us are in agreement with the process and, if there's going to be any kind of trips or anything like that, that we're all in the loop and that we all know what's going on, because we all just need to foster trust and cohesiveness throughout the council and also in the city. Thank you.
anyone else? So again, thank you.
Sorry.
Councilmember Freeland.
Yeah, I'm not sure sort of if there's an ask or anything tonight. I just wanted to thank you for your presentation. I absolutely love South Africa. I've spent much time there, and you have an absolutely amazing country. So thank you for your presentation, your enthusiasm, and I'm not sure that I have any other comments to say other than thanks.
Thank you for listening, and thank you, Your Excellency.
Hold on just a moment, Miss. Can I just say Miss Judy so I won't mess up your last? Come forward. Can I just say Miss Judy so I don't mess up your last name?
Sorry?
Can I just call you Miss Judy?
My name's actually Jabulile.
Oh, what did I get?
But I use the English, we all have English names. It becomes too complicated.
Judy your English name? Did I make that up?
What? The Judy? No.
Okay.
That's my Christian name.
Okay.
But I'm actually Jabulile Nwokedi. Jabulile, it's got a nice ringing tone. Jabulile.
Jabulile.
Yes.
Nwokedi.
And just to say, I was at the American Film Market, and that is why I was able to do a quick detour, because storytelling and narrative is so powerful in terms of how we see the world. And the generation Gen Z and Alpha, it's all about it's about creating content and aggregating content. So it'd be a great space for us to explore as well, is the creative space for young people, and looking at our stories and your stories and how we tell our stories together. So thank you once again.
I'm sorry, hold on just a moment. Councilmember Shropshire has some comments.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation, and thank you for being here tonight. But I do have a question. What are some of the needs of your city that, and I know you talked about why you're here, but what are some of the needs that your city may have that they don't have?
So our city, Johannesburg, we at the moment we have a huge housing crisis, an incredibly bad one. And the housing crisis is coupled with the lack of investment in the maintenance of the infrastructure. So whether it's the undercabling, whether it's electricity cables, water cables, the gas. So we are having horrific fires and collapsing of the inner city. So anything that you could share with us in terms of how you capitalize and reinvest in your infrastructure, city infrastructure. We have another problem with mobility in terms of transportation, because you can imagine during apartheid, we were all moved out of the cities, and we were never meant to be mobile. We call them dark spaces. The architects talk about the dark spaces and the unsafe spaces. So when we were driving here, I saw you have a railway here, and our railway was only meant to transport people to and from the mines. So that's what we need. But I also think, you sitting in the evening, it's incredible. You sit in the evening so that people who work during the day can participate and be active citizens in terms of local elected officials. So even at a government at work and how you do it, how you become accessible, how people come and present their ideas so that it's transparent. I think that would also be an incredible lesson that you could share. I was also sharing with some people today that we've had mayor, because of coalition politics, every time someone wants a different mayor. So also the importance of stability of leadership, because government works when someone leaves their home. It's not what happens in Parliament or Congress. It's at a local level. When you switch on the light, when you open your tap, that's government at work. And we need to learn many, many lessons as to how to get that right.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you so much for your presentation and just listening to those things and those issues that you have. It really takes me aback because it's just the little things that we take for granted, you know, just the ability to be able to come here to have meetings in the evening time, just the freedom that we have, and then just for those things that you say, which is like, it's like gold or something for you all, but it's just those things that we just take for granted. But what I wanted to know, I know you talked about your infrastructure. Are grant opportunities available? Are you able to access, you know, grants? Because I know we have, like if there's some infrastructure or something, there are different grants that are out there. So do you guys even do you have accessibility to grants, any type of grant funding?
Yeah, we have incentives, both at a South African level, but we also have the multilateral agencies that co-fund. USAID is very active in all the other multilateral institutions like the World Bank, the IFC, but also South Africa is very attractive to capital markets, American capital markets, and pension funds, fluidity. I know at one stage, shortly after our first election, I hosted numerous public housing officials where some of the pension funds were ring-fenced for offshore international investments. So there are many ways one could access funding. But I think it's also the technical expertise that has to come with the funding. And so if you've got great developments, especially around social housing, you know, I don't know how you do your social housing and mixed social housing, those would be very important lessons we could learn, and how you integrate, because, you know, when I was just reflecting that, you know, I've hardly lived in a democracy and I'm about to die. You know, my age is against me, so I'm only enjoying a few years of democracy. Dr. Rogers, you're looking at me surprised. You know, sometimes, as you say, you forget that just not so long ago I wasn't even allowed to talk to white people. You know, it's as simple as that. I met my first white person when I was 25. You know, we lived in communities completely segregated. And then you have to be confident.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you again so much. I think a couple things. I know you had some slides. There were some technical difficulties. Councilmember Butler, I'm not sure what's in the slides. But again, the Sister Cities International's program that we are a member of recommends having a proposal provided that shows the mutual benefit to the Twin Cities. So I don't know if that's what this is and if that's something you all can share after it. I also think that for that to be considered and explored further and figure out whether or not there's formal agreement, MOU, like where this could potentially move. I think also it would be great, Ms. Jessie, if our Economic Development Department could work with our East Point Convention and Visitors Bureau to identify the existing international businesses like Quinanago. I probably pronounced that wrong. Amazon is doing some international work within the city. So what are our existing, not international work within the city, they are expanding their international work, I should say. So what are the existing businesses within the city that have international ties or connections to South Africa or any other international location, as well as, I don't know if there's interest from residents or we have a group within the community that has some ties internationally. So I think that was a recommendation that we have an idea of and identify what exists in the city that might be natural. The other is funding. As I mentioned, There hasn't been funding for the city of Atlanta and their 18 sister cities within the city's budget since previous administrations, at least two before, prior to this one. But there are partnerships through businesses and foundations and other ways to fund this type of travel and this type of partnership, and so definitely need to be exploring the funding mechanisms as well for any sister city opportunities. And then if this is the lane that council wants to go in, we are members again of Sister Cities International. We need to have some discussions around those things and process and what that would look like. So you mentioned maybe 2 years from now, so there's a long runway as to what you're even envisioning. But those are things that I think we need to consider based upon our membership with Sister Cities International. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. And just remember the exchange rate is 1 to 18. So
I can go over there and be very well off, huh? That's what you're telling me?
thank you.
All right, thank you. The last presentation this evening is the City of Milton. And I'm not sure if you all have heard about what happened recently, but there was a lawsuit that they were sued because of something that wasn't really in the right-of-way. It was like a tire, but it was close to the right-of-way, and the court ruled that they were responsible for it and has ordered them to pay damages in the amount of $35 million. And so this is an issue that is concerning, of course, to municipalities across the state of Georgia, and GMA has been, of course, working with, Georgia Municipal Association has been working with the City of Milton. The mayor of Milton has sent out requests to cities all across the state to join them. They actually are going to be appealing that decision, and a part of that appeal is what's called an amicus brief, and so I'm going to turn it over to our deputy city attorney for her to kind of give an overview of the case, where they are, and what the ask is from the city of Milton. There's a resolution that has been printed and shared with you all. This is the form resolution that they are sending across the state to request that cities adopt and join in and support them. Just imagine if a $35 million judgment was entered against the city of East Point for something that, you know, historically you would think the city would not be liable for. So I'll turn it over to Attorney Freeman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to give everyone background information about the case, in November 2016, the victim in this case, Mr. Chang, who was a college student at the time, was killed in a single car accident on Batesville Road in the city of Milton when his car struck a concrete planter that was located on the shoulder. The family sued the city of Milton, stating that they sued for negligence and also a nuisance. The lower court agreed with, or a jury agreed with the plaintiffs at the time. The city of Milton appealed, indicating that they should have been granted sovereign immunity. The appellate court again sided with the plaintiffs and confirmed that verdict. So what the city of Milton is trying to do now is they want the Supreme Court of Georgia to review the case. And essentially, and I'm reading what the city of Milton has said to us, if the ruling is allowed to stand, as Madam Mayor stated that they awarded $35 million, I believe, but if allowed to stand, a driver colliding with a fixed object in the right-of-way, which means outside the motoring lanes of travel, may recover against a city on the theory that roadway shoulders must be kept clear to ensure motorists have unobstructed places to swerve or veer if needed. And the city of Milton is asking other municipalities to side with them, which is the reason for the resolution. And we believe that we are recommending that we certainly support them, because the scenario could easily happen here in East Point. And if this law remains, then it certainly has the potential for a great impact.
Thank you, Attorney Freeman. If you could share what happened to Mr. Chang and whether or not, what did you call it that was in the?
It was a concrete planter.
Right, if that concrete planter was owned by the city.
They said it was owned by the city. Mr. Chang passed away. And what the parents, what their attorneys argued was that the city, basically that they should have found that it was a defect or a nuisance. What the court also did, they allowed testimony during that initial trial of employees about that concrete planter and their interpretation of the code and the requirements to maintain it.
Thank you, Councilmember Cummings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, and I just want to be clear. So the planter, it was on the sidewalk, but he had an accident and went up on the sidewalk and hit the planter?
Yes, it was a single car accident.
Okay.
And when I read the case, basically they had an accident reconstructionist because it was a single car trying to figure out what happened. And their opinion was that it appeared that Mr. Chang swerved. Mm-hmm. Maybe something came in the road but swerved to avoid it and struck the planter.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you. I yield. I just wanted some clarification.
Any other question? I believe that the resolution, they're asking that the resolutions be provided by November the 30th. So this would be our last meeting before November the 30th. So that's why I put it on tonight for council to consider. Councilmember Ziegler.
Yeah, do we know of any other cities that are in alignment with doing a resolution like this?
I can check. I know they have asked other cities to basically get on board. I don't have that right now, but if you give me a second, I can try to see if I have a list, if I can find a list of other cities who may have gotten on board with it.
Okay.
Councilmember Shropshire.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the ask is for us to join in with them to sign the resolution.
Yeah, to adopt the resolution of the City of East Point authorizing participation in an amicus brief in the Chang versus City of Milton appeal.
So moved.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Discussion. I know the city attorney is trying to find the list to see if we can get the names of other cities.
I have a question.
Councilmember Butler.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Just for argument's sake, there's no liability for the city in signing this resolution, is there? It doesn't put us at any risk at all, just for the citizens' sake. We need to make sure they know that.
No, it does not.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Councilmember Freely.
just a quick question while she's looking. Did we receive this request to sign the resolution from GMA, or did we receive it from the City of Milton, or?
Hold on, let me pull up the email. Mayor Payton sent it, he mentioned they're working with GMA, but let me pull up the email to give you the right interest. Councilmember Martin Rogers.
And this would be a question, I guess, for our interim city manager and also our city attorney. I know that this is indeed a sad accident, but where are our planters located? Could we, to piggyback on what was stated earlier, is that something that we need to look at as a city? Where our planters are in the case of like this accident? Like, what are other cities doing, I guess, to shield themselves or protect themselves from?
Thank you, Councilmember. So I haven't been able to find a list of cities. I do know in the email that was sent by the mayor of the city of East Point that they are circulating this information to all, it says participating cities. So I'm not sure exactly which cities there are. And that's certainly something we can look or discuss with the city manager, because right now, if the law remains, it's something that could impact us if there is a similar accident. And so that is something that I guess we can look at and see how they are being monitored.
So I will, let me read the email. Hold on a minute. Let's see if. So, he mentioned he spoke with Larry Hansen at GMA on yesterday, which was November 15th. He sent his second email on the 16th. And he mentioned that the mayor is welcome to reach out to him for further discussion. So initially, he indicated, Mayor Holiday Ingram, I write this asking for your assistance. You may have seen various news reports about the Chang versus City of Milton judgment and attached the link. The potential impacts of the Chang appellate opinion cannot be understated. If allowed to stand, a driver colliding with a fixed object in the right-of-way outside the motoring lanes of travel may recover against the city on the theory that roadway shoulders must be kept clear to ensure motorists have unobstructed places to swerve or veer if needed. Milton does not believe this is the law in Georgia, but it will become the law if the Supreme Court of Georgia does not take this decision up and reverse it. I need only remind you of all the fixed objects in municipal right-of-ways, including guardrails, fire hydrants, curbs, utility poles, embankments, trees. The list goes on. If the Chang appellate opinion becomes the law in Georgia, most Georgia cities will be faced with the perilous decision of either inventorying and removing fixed objects in their right-of-way or not doing so, and therefore running the risk of the same financial fate of Milton. The city of Milton is doing everything in its power to have the Chang appellate opinion reversed. A motion for reconsideration before the Court of Appeals is currently pending. However, should that fail, our next and final step is to ask the Georgia Supreme Court to take up the appeal. The Supreme Court does not have to do this. The Supreme Court review is discretionary. However, Milton believes that if enough Georgia cities join in the request for the Supreme Court to consider the matter, that the Supreme Court will listen. As such, I am attaching a form resolution above that I would ask you place before your council. If approved, this would authorize your city to join in an amicus friend of the court brief to the Supreme Court, where we ask the Supreme Court to hear our appeal. We are currently working on the amicus brief, and as the time draws closer to file it, we will circulate it to all the participating cities. However, the first step is for each city to place this before the council and secure permission to participate. I cannot overemphasize the importance of this. If you have any questions, please call me. However, we are asking that all cities that wish to participate have this approved and return to me no later than November the 30th. Thank you in advance, Mayor Peyton Jamison, City of Milton.
Madam Mayor, I did just find an article, the Sandy Springs is supporting it as of today. Their city council apparently has approved the resolution to support them. And I was also speaking to Ms. Jessie, our interim city manager, And I'm looking at a picture of the concrete planter, and she has indicated that the city of East Point does not have any of those.
Yeah, I think the planters we may not have, but we have trees, we have guardrails, we have other things that are in our right-of-ways that could potentially be something that we didn't either have to take up or, Councilmember Buck.
Madam Mayor, two things. The first thing is, I think that I agree with Councilmember Freely. This should be something that should be circulated to GMA and try to get all of the cities to participate, not just the local cities. I think that's a very good recommendation. And with that being said, if there's no other discussion, I would like to make a motion if it pleases the Mayor.
Did we? I think we're in on discussion.
We are.
Councilmember Shropshire made the motion.
To approve it? Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it was seconded by Councilmember Martin Rogers. We're in on discussion. We were just holding out, the interim deputy city attorney was looking for a list as requested by Councilmember Ziegler, and with the mayor, Mayor Jamison, I call him Payne, Mayor Jamison speaking with GMA on Friday of this past week, and with him sharing that Larry Hansen, who's the executive director of GMA, is willing to talk to any city. It sounds like they're supportive of this, and we might see something coming out officially from GMA, but GMA is willing to talk to us about the impact that this could potentially have. Councilmember Ziegler.
Yeah, if you don't have the list, then it's fine. Let's just let it go, because I don't want to hold up the meeting or anything like that.
Well, no, she mentioned as of right now, she saw that Sandy Springs has approved it.
Okay, great.
But she didn't know if there were others, but she
Gotcha.
did see an article with Sandy Springs, so she was able to find some information.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, where's my agenda? Any committee reports? I don't believe we have any. There are some upcoming committee meetings. Budget and Finance is tomorrow, and HR committee meeting is being scheduled. Approval of city council minutes, adoption of the council agenda. Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I make a motion that we adopt the council agenda.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the city council minutes from the regular meeting on November 4th, 2024. Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor,
Councilwoman Shropshire.
I move that we make a motion to adopt the city council regular meeting from November 4th.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's a motion to adopt the minutes. Any discussion? In favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We're now at our public hearings. Thank you so much for your patience. I'm going to turn it over to the Deputy City Attorney to read the public hearing rules for the first two, and then when we get to the zoning public hearings, I'll have you read the zoning public hearing rules. Attorney Freeman.
Madam Mayor, just making sure that I'm clear on what I'm reading. Am I reading section 10-2219? And that's
For the first two regarding, I believe those two are alcohol license. You're reading the public hearing rule 29.
If you can give me 1 second, let me grab that one.
Okay.
Madam Mayor. Rule 29 regarding public hearings must be advertised per the ordinance. The mayor will call for a motion to open and close the hearing. Those in favor of the subject will speak for the first 15 minutes, and those opposed will speak for the second 15 minutes. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Speakers may give a total of 3 minutes to another speaker after all those present have had an opportunity to speak. Residents first and then non-residents. By a majority vote, the council may increase the time for each side to 30 minutes.
Thank you so much. Can we get a motion to open the public hearing on CRU consumption on premises alcohol license?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. The public hearing is now open. Ms. Jessie, if we can have the police department come give an overview of this application.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor and members of council, Police Department representative is here.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have crew, Mr. Gregory Bryant, he wasn't able to make it, he had a medical emergency. He requested a deferral for next council meeting for December 2nd.
Could you go over, though, what the recommendation is? So let me just say this, because it was advertised for public hearing, we have to have it, and then we can
Not a problem.
make a decision.
Gregory Bryant is applying for an alcohol license for consumption on premise of a new business crew located at 3271 Camp Creek Parkway. Mr. Bryant is the registered agent of an existing business, of a new business crew, and has no history with the city of East Point. Mr. Bryant has passed the background process, adhered to advertisement requirements, and obeyed all bylaws required as a new applicant. The police department recommend the issuance of the alcohol license for consumption on premises.
All right, thank you. Just step to the side. I'll see if anyone wants to come speak. Is there anyone here who wants to speak in favor of the request for an alcohol license for a crew on, what was the address again?
3271 Camp Creek Parkway.
I don't have mine. There you go, 3271. At 3271 Camp Creek Parkway. Anyone who would like to speak in favor? Anyone who would like to speak in favor? Is there anyone who would like to speak against the request for an alcohol license for crew consumption located at 3271 Camp Creek Parkway? Anyone who would like to speak against the request for an alcohol license for crew? Anyone who would like to speak against? Can I get a motion to close the public hearing? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion on closing the public hearing? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Is there any further action on this item? We need to open the floor for discussion and possible action based upon what the officer just stated to us. Is there a motion to open the floor for discussion and possible action?
Yes, so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? No, to open the floor. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Councilmember Martin Rogers.
Yes, what I wanted to say was, I looked into this potential business coming to Ward D, and I just wanted to make sure that I knew which business was coming to Ward D, but I was able to look it up because it's going to be off of Camp Creek Parkway. Is this the crew that is food and wine bar, cozy and romantic wine bar? It lures grape lovers and sophisticated foodies, because that location, it's 2 locations in Alpharetta and the Atlanta Battery. Or is this the crew that is the Urban Lounge and the Hookah Lounge? They have 4 locations already in the city of Atlanta, and they're trying to come into the city of East Point. So which crew is this that wants to come off of Camp Creek?
It's the restaurant, not the hookah lounge.
Come to the mic for me.
The restaurant.
So it's the food and wine bar?
Yes.
It's not the Crew Urban Lounge?
Correct.
I see Chief walking up behind you.
Because I'm just not sure that I am willing to support this, because I need to know if it's the Crew Food and Wine Bar or if it's the Crew Urban Lounge hookah. I wasn't able to decipher which crew it was online earlier today, so I would like more information as to who is behind opening up on Camp Creek, because it is in my ward, and I just don't, I mean, I don't think that goes with the scope of the message, the message that we're trying to convey to our residents of wanting better, wanting more opportunity for good businesses to come in here. There are also 5 places that you can go to in East Point already to get smoking. There are 4, currently East Point has 4 locations for access to hookah lounges. 3 are retail and cigarette store stands, and 1 is a restaurant that currently has the hookah option available. So I just wanted to know which crew it was.
So, good morning, or good evening, good afternoon. Real quick, according to our paperwork, I'm not familiar with the other because the paperwork they sent in did not say those things. I can go get with the permit office, but the permit they applied for did not mention no lovers or cozy place. It was not that particular place. We can go back and double check to see if they're trying to pull something we're not familiar with, but I don't have a problem with that.
I said romantic. I said cozy and romantic wine bar. It lures great lovers and sophisticated foodies. Exactly. That is what it is. She's saying great lovers.
Great.
So I just, yeah.
So that's not what they presented us, but I can definitely go back and check because I'm not familiar with the other place, and that does sound very strange if you saw something saying that place was coming. So I can go back and double check just to make sure.
Okay, thank you.
We can do that.
So, the applicant requested deferral until when? So, the police department is recommending approval. The applicant has requested a deferral to December 2nd. Council can either move forward and make a decision tonight or grant the deferral and have the item placed on the December 2nd agenda. We've had the public hearing tonight, so we wouldn't have to have the public hearing again, if I'm not mistaken, Attorney Freeman. Since we had the public hearing tonight, we wouldn't have to have it again.
That is correct, Your Honor. I'm sorry,
So,
Madam Mayor.
yeah, you were practicing court before. So those are the options before. Councilmember Boat.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Mayor. I support us deferring this so that the councilwoman may get more information. But I thought when it was done with the presentation, this was going to be a Jamaican restaurant. Oh, so it's not going to be that now?
About the previous business, they're gone, so this is now a new business.
Oh, thank you.
So, because it's on the agenda, I think a motion either way is appropriate, either to grant the request for deferral, a motion to grant the request for deferral to the December 2nd meeting of the East Point City Council could be one motion, or you can make a motion to approve or deny tonight. Councilmember Shropshire.
Thank you. I was going to say, just do a deferral because the owner is not here. And that way, when the owner is here, we can get a better understanding exactly what is going to be. Because it says one thing, but it could be something else. And
what we don't want is a repeat of the U-Bar. So my suggestion would be is to do a deferral until the owner is here and can answer the questions to exactly what's it going to be.
Is that a motion?
Cummings, I think we've had two people say that they would support the deferral, but we haven't had the motion yet. Councilwoman Cummings, you're in for discussion as well.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we defer the decision until the December 2nd meeting, which will afford the owner an opportunity to come in to answer any questions that we may have.
I second that.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we grant the applicant's request for a deferral to the December 2nd meeting of the East Point City Council. There was seconded by Councilmember Mitchell. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. We will move to the next one. We're going to get a motion to open the public hearing for Circle K number 183 retail sales alcohol license. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. The public hearing is now open. Ms. Jessie, can we have an overview from staff?
Yes, Chief.
Salman Sakandar is applying for an alcohol license for retail sale at an existing business, Circle K, located at 3241 Camp Creek Parkway. Mr. Sakandar is a registered agent of his existing business, Circle K 183, and has no history with the city of East Point. Mr. Sakandar passed the background process, adhered to advertising requirements, and obeyed all bylaws required as a new applicant. The police department recommends the issuance of a license, alcohol license for retail sale of beer and wine.
This is a public hearing. Anyone who would like to speak in favor of the request for an alcohol license at 3241 Camp Creek Parkway, please come forward at this time. The applicant is here. You can come forward at this time.
How you doing? This is Salman Sikandar.
I'm sorry, say again?
I said, this is Salman Sikandar.
Yes, so we're in the public hearing. If there's anything that you would like to share with us in support of your application for an alcohol license, you can share it at this time.
Yeah, we definitely have a system to, before we sell the alcohol, our system indicate the notification. We can check every single guy have ID to sell before the beer, and yeah, that will be help to, do not sell any minor and everything.
Anything else you'd like to share? No pressure. No. I'm just giving you the opportunity.
Thank you.
That's fine. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak in favor of the application for an alcohol license at a retail sales alcohol license at 3241 Camp Creek Parkway, Circle K number 183? Anyone who would like to speak in favor? Is there anyone who would like to speak against the request for a retail sales alcohol license? Anyone who would like to speak against? Is there anyone who would like to speak against? Can I get a motion to close the public hearing? Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion on closing the public hearing? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. We can either have a motion to open the floor for discussion and possible action or a motion to approve. Councilmember Cummings.
Make a motion to open the floor for discussion and possible approval.
So moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. The floor is open. Councilmember Cummings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick, for this location, the Circle K, I know the location. Do they have a camera system installed? I know we talked about our Fuchsia's camera system. So do they have, is there some sort of camera system that's there?
So just real quick, just want to kind of clarify. This is existing business. They've previously had a license. He's the new owner. So he's just asking to have it carried over. Just kind of want to say that. They do have a camera system. I'm not sure how up to date it is because of what occurred with the law. So we can't mandate that.
Right.
But our goal was to have those cameras input in Fuchsia's. That is our goal.
Okay. I think he was standing up, so I just wanted to know if the system that they have, is it compatible? Does it interact with our current system that we do have? You could.
Hello. Yes, there is a current system, all updated system, updated cameras, 4K cameras.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. So, and I don't know if you can answer the question now. So is it compatible with the current system that the East Point Police Department has?
Not with police department.
Okay. But you do have a camera system that's there?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. I yield.
Any further discussion on the discussion motion or any further action? Councilmember Cummings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to make a motion. I can make a motion now to approve.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the Circle K number 183 retail sales alcohol license. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Next up, Deputy City Attorney Freeman, if you could read the zoning public hearing rules. I think that's the section 10 something.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Public hearing procedures. Before adopting any change to the zoning maps or text of the zoning ordinance, the City Council shall hold a public hearing. Following the public hearing by the Planning and Zoning Commission, where a recommendation was made on the petition, public hearings before the City Council shall be conducted as follows. The presiding officer will call for a motion to open and close the hearing. The presiding officer or his or her designee will introduce the proposed zoning amendment before the City Council. Staff will then be called up to present the Planning Commission's recommendation and summarize the staff's written report. Persons both favoring and opposing the proposed amendment will then be provided an opportunity to address the council. The applicant for the proposed amendment or applicant's designated representative, if any, will be entitled to speak first, followed by other speakers in favor of the proposal for a total of 15 minutes. Those who oppose the proposed zoning amendment will then be permitted to speak for a total of 15 minutes. By majority vote, the council may increase the total time for speakers, provided that each side is given the same amount of time. If there is more than one speaker for a side, the presiding officer may limit the time allotted for each individual speaker, other than the zoning applicant. The zoning applicant may reserve a portion of his allotted time for rebuttal. Speakers must adhere to rules of decorum. Prior to speaking, each speaker shall identify himself or herself and state his or her current address. Each speaker shall speak only to the merits of the proposed zoning decision under consideration, shall address remarks only to the council, and shall refrain from making personal attacks on any other speaker. The presiding officer may refuse a speaker the right to continue if, after first being cautioned, the speaker continues to violate the rules of decorum.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing for, oops, I went to the wrong. Request for permit for a habitable accessory structure located at 2543 Hogan Road.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we open the public hearing. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Jessie, can we have staff give an overview before having the speakers?
Kimberly Smith, the Director of Planning, will provide an overview.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and fellow council. In reference to this item, property located at 2543 Hogan Road, application P2024U-001-08. The applicant is BMA. Ms. BMA, the zoning of the property is R1, which is our urban residential. And the request is for a use permit to construct the habitable accessory structure pursuant to section 10-2130, the zoning ordinance. The current zoning as stated is our R1A zoning district, which is our urban residential. The future land use designation is suburban residential. The future land use is suburban residential as stated. And the habitable accessory structure and accessory uses are permittable uses within the suburban residential land use category. Planning Commission recommended approval with a condition. The applicant shall adhere to all applicable state and city codes. And the applicant should be here.
Thank you so much. This is a public hearing regarding the request for a permit for habitable accessory structure at 2543 Hogan Road. Anyone would like to come forward to speak in favor of the request? Anyone who would like to speak in favor of the request, come forward at this time. If the applicant is here, you can come forward now.
Yes, good evening. We're the owners at the property, 2543 Hogan Road. It's 1.5 acres, not too far from the airport. The structure is already towards the back end of the property. It already has a roof and walls, and it adheres to all of the city requirements. We are trying to add plumbing and electrical to make it habitable. So it's already there.
All right. Thank you so much for being here this evening.
Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to speak in favor of the request for a permit for a habitable accessory structure? Anyone else who would like to speak in favor? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the request for a habitable accessory structure at 2543 Hogan Road? Anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Can I get a motion to close the public hearing? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Any further action on this item? If council desires to move forward regarding the ordinance, a motion to waive the first reading is required.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman
I make a
Shropshire.
motion that we waive the first reading.
Moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Any further action on this item? And if the motion is regarding the ordinance, please read the title of the item. Councilman Martin Rogers.
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the ordinance granting a use permit for a habitable accessory structure zoning petition P2024U-001-08 located at 2543 Hogan Road.
So moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Your permit has been approved. Next up is, can I get a motion to open the public hearing for a rezoning request for property located at 2928 Palm Drive from R1A District to R3 District.
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Jessie, if we can have staff provide an overview.
Kimberly Smith, the Director of Planning, will provide the overview.
Thank you. In reference to this item, a property located at 2928 Palm Drive, case type is a rezoning. It's known as case number P2024RZ-006-08. The applicant is Keith Logan. The current zoning of the property is RR1A Urban Residential Zoning District, and the applicant is seeking to rezone the property from R1A Urban Residential to R3 Multifamily to come into compliance with the existing duplex and single-family land use on the property. Property information in reference to this case, there are two structures on the property. As you see on the property card that we looked at from Fulton County, the first property, which is a frame house, approximately 969 square feet, it was built in 1948. The second structure on the property is a one-story property that is about 750 square feet in area, and it was built in 1955. The current zoning, as stated, is R1A Residential District, which allows for single-family homes. This is an overview, an aerial photo of the subject property. The future land use map designation is redevelopment neighborhood, and typical zoning districts in the residential neighborhood, redevelopment neighborhood, a future land use map designation is R1, RL, R1A, RT, R2, and R3. The use and scale for properties located within the redevelopment neighborhood future land use map designation is limited to multifamily, which is duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes. The Planning Commission recommended denial of this rezoning of the property from R1A to R3 multifamily development at the October 17th Planning Commission meeting. The staff also recommended a denial of this case due to the fact that it's surrounded by all 1A properties. But unfortunately, prior to probably any of us being here, these structures were built in 1948 and 1955, and so they're already standing. And so in order for the applicant to come into compliance with the current code, he's asking for the R3 multifamily development. Staff recommended denial based on the situation of it being surrounded by the R1 district. But the property is already there. It's already standing, and it's been existing for some time now, since the 40s and 50s.
Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of the rezoning request for property located at 2928 Palm Drive? Anyone who would like to speak in favor? Is the applicant here?
The applicant does not appear to be here. He was also absent from the work session due to a family emergency, and we're unsure if the family emergency is still going on. It was our understanding that he was going to be here tonight.
I'll ask that in discussion. Anyone else, anyone who would like to speak in favor of this request? Anyone who would like to speak in favor? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the rezoning request for property located at 2928 Palm Drive from R1A District to R3 Multifamily District? Anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. The public hearing is now closed. We have 1 of 3 option. Motion, open the floor for discussion and possible action. Council.
Madam Mayor, I would like to open the floor for discussion.
Council, is there a second? Councilmember Martin Rogers? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. The floor is now open. Councilmember Shropshire.
Ms. Smith, the picture that you had up on here, is that the house?
Yes.
That's not a, can you go back to that? No. That's not a duplex.
The structure in the back is a duplex.
That's a garage apartment. So have the house been vacant for some time?
Our understanding is that the house and the duplex or structure in the back are both occupied.
So was it, because I know the ordinance is unless it's vacant, it goes back to what it was originally formed as, when it's a duplex. But in this case, this house wasn't vacant. So has it always been in the wrong zoning?
So these properties were built in the 40s and the 50s. According to the records, they did receive building permits. How they received building permits, I mean, we just don't know because it was before our time. So the applicant is trying to correct the non-compliance of the property by making it into multifamily, which is what the land use is now. But what I would like to do is for staff to recommend a deferral and not take action on it tonight because the applicant was not present at the work session and he's not here tonight either. And so I don't feel comfortable moving forward with it without having spoken with the applicant.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Butler.
I support the recommendation of a deferral.
Councilmember Cummings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the multifamily, they're already in the rear of the property, correct?
Correct.
When were those built?
When was it built?
Yes.
In 1955.
No, the new stuff that's in the back, that's in the rear of the property now, what he's trying to correct. No, ma'am. Do you mind if you go to Zillow and put this address in? So, because you all need to see what's in the rear of this property, right? You can sort of see the white part. Yes. If you go to Zillow and put this address in.
Palm.
That's what's in the rear. So that's it. Yeah, that's why I was asking, when did he build this? When did they build this? So.
So it appears that they've had renovations since the time. I mean, obviously, they've had renovations.
That's what we call a renovation.
It's a very PC response. Like,
Okay.
I felt like they tore it down and built something whole new, but
That part, but okay. And I just wanted to make sure that we all were kind of on the same page, because I know what I saw, the yellow house. And then when we go to Zillow, this is what we see that's in the back. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody, ta-da! So here we go. So I guess you do a deferment or?
I mean, it sounds like there's a desire to defer. Are you done? Because I have a couple comments before we do that.
I yield.
My concern about changing this property to multifamily, that would give the owner the right to totally tear all of this down and build more density on this lot. Right, so we're making the assumption that what is there is going to stay there. If we put a multifamily development, how large is this lot? Like, I don't know if there's any way to put if there are legal restrictions that we can put on it to prevent them from building. Square feet, 969.
It's .3.
0.3 acres.
0.3
Yeah, like,
acres. It's
if
about a
this
third of
is
an acre.
changed to multifamily, he or she, I'm not sure the applicant is, they wouldn't have to come before us again. They could tear down what's on there and build density.
That's correct.
So I'm not opposing a deferral. The applicant hasn't come to the last two meetings. If there's a legal restriction that doesn't violate, like, property rights or any of that, you know, maybe that's something that could be considered, but I'm not opposed to a deferral, but I'm very concerned about a multifamily zoning with no restrictions that would permit somebody to put more density on this lot. So staff has asked that we defer, are you saying to December 2nd?
Yes.
So we have three options. We can grant staff's request to defer to December 2nd. We wouldn't have to have a public hearing since we've had it tonight. Or we could waive the first reading and take action tonight on approval or denial. Councilmember Cummings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I just want to make sure that we have clarification. So the yellow house that's there, that's not there anymore. The one with the, right, that's the old.
That picture is from 2020.
Okay, so the new one that, the one that's on Zillow, that's what the yellow house used to be.
Correct.
I didn't understand that, but okay, I get it now. And then the little one that's behind it, that's the habitable structure that they are trying to get approved now, correct?
This petition is for rezoning to change
for the rezoning, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Okay. Okay, I yield.
When was the application filed?
This application?
Yeah.
It was filed for the
It say 2024.
September cycle. So they would have submitted the application by the first Friday in September.
Of this year.
Yes.
And they gave us a 2022 picture. 2020 picture in the application. How did this picture come about?
This picture is from Fulton County tax records.
Did the applicant submit any pictures?
The applicant submitted pictures of the property during the Planning Commission and the CCIM. They submitted their own presentation. This is a staff presentation.
What pictures did they include in their presentation? This one or the new ones?
It was a White House that they presented.
Okay. We got three options. Staff has asked for Councilmember Freely.
I just had a question. If we defer and there is no public hearing required because we had it, even if the applicant is here, is there any additional information we get from him at that time?
Yeah, we could ask questions, right? So we could open the floor for discussion and possible action talk with staff, ask the applicant questions, and then still make a decision how we want to proceed at that point. Motion? Been moved and properly seconded that we defer until December 2nd. Councilmember Butler? Until December 2nd at staff's request. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Our last public hearing, can we get a motion to open the public hearing for item number 11? Oh, I'm sorry, item number 10. We have two more. It's been moved and properly seconded that we open the public hearing for a rezoning request for property located at 2447 McAlpin Terrace from RL District to R2. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. The floor is open. Ms. Jessie, if we can have staff give an overview.
Kimberly Smith will provide an overview.
Thank you. In reference to this item, property located at 2447 McAlpine Terrace, property case number is P2024RZ-004-08. The applicant is Siobhan Cheromain. The current zoning of the property is RL, Urban Residential District. The applicant is seeking a rezoning from RL to R2, which is the two-family residential zoning district, to rebuild a legal non-conforming property that was damaged by a fire beyond the 60% clause. The current zoning, as stated, is residential limited RL. Nearby properties are zoned RL and R2. The property next door is actually zoned resident R2, which is the two-family residential district. It was rezoned in August of 2011. Staff and the Planning Commission recommended approval of the rezoning from the property to RL Residential Limited to R2 two-family residential district.
This is a public hearing. Anybody desiring to speak in favor of the request to rezone property located at 2447 McAlpin Terrace from RL District to R2, please come forward at this time. The applicant is here. You can come forward now.
Good evening. Siobhan Sermain, 2447 McAlpin Terrace. We would like to be approved to rezone. The property was damaged by fire. It previously was a duplex, and we would like to rebuild back to the original structure. Anything you want to add?
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else who would like to speak in favor of the request to rezone, come forward at this time. Anyone who would like to speak in favor? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the request to rezone? Please come forward at this time. Anyone desiring to speak in opposition to the rezoning request for property located at 2447 McAlpin Terrace from RL District to R2 District, please come forward at this time. Anyone in opposition? Can I get a motion to close the public hearing? Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Is there any further action on this item? If council would like to act, there would need to be a motion to waive the first reading. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Any further action on this item? And if the motion is regarding the ordinance, please read the title of the agenda item.
Madam Mayor, I make the motion that we approve the application for case type rezoning Stafford 2447 McAlpin Terrace. I don't have the thing in front of me. Thank you. Oh, Lord, I need my readers. Number 10? Okay, Madam Mayor, I make the motion that we approve the rezoning of property located at 2447 McAlpin Terrace from RL District to R2 District.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Looking for a discussion.
All right, there's a motion that's been seconded that we adopt the ordinance rezoning the property located at 2447 McAlpin Terrace from RL District to R2 District. Discussion, Councilmember Shropshire.
Thank you. My question is, the house, that, it looks like a single-family home. So at what point was it a duplex?
It does look like a single-family home from the outside, but once you go inside of that door, it's a hallway and two separate doors that separate the units. And it's
Okay.
always been that way.
Okay, that's what I'm wondering. Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Your rezoning has been granted. Next up, can we get a motion to open the public hearing on item number 11?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Jessie, can we get an overview from staff?
Yes, ma'am. Kimberly Smith will provide an overview.
Thank you. In reference to item number, property address, 1400 Elizabeth Lane. Application number is P2024U-001-01. The case type is a use permit for a habitable accessory structure. The applicant is Shante Daniel. The property is zoned R1A, which is our urban residential zoning district. And this is a use permit to construct a habitable accessory structure pursuant to section 10-2130. It's a zoning map showing the property zoned R1A. The future land use map showing the property having a traditional urban neighborhood land use designation. Accessory dwelling units are permitted land uses within this zoning district. And Planning Commission and staff recommended approval with the condition that the applicant has to adhere to all applicable state, city, and international residential codes.
Thank you so much. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone desiring to speak in favor of a request for a permit for a habitable accessory structure located at 1400 Elizabeth Lane? The applicant is present and can come forward at this time.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So I'm Shante Daniel. This is probably like my fifth time coming here. So I won't hold you up with all the logistics behind it, but I am requesting an ADU for the permit. It will be the use for my daughter who's here. She's in high school, so I'm looking forward to putting her in that house. For financial reasons, she'll be going to college next year here in the city, so looking forward to her being able to use that opposed to paying a large amount for college, if you guys have any college graduates or high school graduates. We've already sent out all the flyers to our surrounding neighbors. All of them, I've had no neighbors that have been opposed to the ADU. I've even had a neighbor actually call me and encourage me. So I'm really excited about it. I'm hoping that you guys grant my request. And we've also, with Mr. Lee, with his help, we've been kind of looking at what the codes and what the building codes entail and making sure that we adhere by those building codes. So thank you guys for your time, and hopefully we get a approval. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak in favor of the request for a habitable accessory structure at 1400 Elizabeth Lane? Anyone who would like to speak in favor? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the request for a habitable accessory structure at 1400 Elizabeth Lane? Anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Any further action on this item?
Have we seen like the pictures or anything?
So, can you do a motion to open the floor for discussion and possible action?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to open the floor. I just have to look this up.
So, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I was going to ask,
Hold on a minute. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. The floor is open. Councilmember Mitchell.
Yes, did you have like a blueprint or like a diagram or something like that you can show us?
Did y'all, I sent the. Maybe the ADU. There it goes. So that's a sample of what the house would look like. It mirrors my house, which my house is black like that one. In one of the building codes, you do have to mirror what your primary home looks like. It is half of, well, actually less than half of what my square footage is for my primary home. My primary home is about 1046 square foot, and so that particular tiny house or ADU is 400 square footage. I wasn't looking for something huge, it's for a college student, so.
Okay. No, I was just curious. Would it be on
Yeah, no, you're fine.
like the front or side, or would it be?
It would actually be in the back. So I have a neighbor, each one of my neighbors are at least 6 feet away from the ADU where it would be presented, because we haven't put it back there yet. So it would be behind my primary residence.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion or action?
I wanted to show him the picture.
There's a desire to move forward tonight, a motion to waive there's further pictures.
Councilman Mitchell, if I could, there's my primary home right there.
Okay.
So it kind of mirrors it, but it'll be behind it.
Okay. Thank you.
Any desire to take action tonight, a motion to waive the first reading is needed. Councilmember Ziegler.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to waive the first reading.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Any further on this item? If the motion is regarding the ordinance, please read the title of 11.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the ordinance granting a use permit for a habitable accessory structure, zoning petition 2024 U-001-01, located at 1400 Elizabeth Lane.
So moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Your permit has been granted. Congratulations on your new home in college. Any public comments this evening?
We have 2 public comments this evening.
Section 2-2002BB, Rule 28. The public may speak during the public comment section of the agenda. Speakers must complete a comment form prior to the start of the meeting. Subject may include any subject of choice. There will be a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. Speakers that have signed up to speak may give all or part of their time up to 3 minutes to another speaker for a total of 6 minutes of speaking time. Speakers may address the council only once during this time of the agenda. Speakers must identify themselves and their address prior to speaking. Questions from the speakers may not be addressed during the public speaking section of the agenda. East Point residents will have priority over other speakers. There will be a total of not more than 60 minutes for the public speaking section of the agenda. Speakers may only address the presiding officer. Speakers shall observe all rules of decorum. No debate, disrespect, or obscenity shall be tolerated. The presiding officer shall rule any such individual out of order that fails to comply with the foregoing. Madam City Clerk, you may call the first speaker.
Up first, we have Ms. Jacqueline Richards. And for the record, she is the East Point resident, because I know she's an employee here, so.
Thank you. I like that better. Good evening. My name is Jackie Richards. I live at 3649 Commerce Circle, East Point, Georgia. I'm here to speak before you regarding Pike Engineering and the grid work that Pike Engineering will be doing for the power department. What I am requesting from council is that council mandate that Pike Engineering use the appropriate right-of-way or easement of the city when performing their work. If there is ever a need for Pike employees to enter onto a resident property, I am requesting that Pike notify the homeowner and receive the approval of the homeowner before entering onto the resident property. Thank you.
All right, up next, we have Ms. Maya Cross.
Hi, good evening. My name is Maya, and I live at 1397 Lyle Avenue. I'm here tonight to speak on two matters that have been confusing and raising concerns among residents. First is regarding the city manager vacancy. From what I understand, we've hired a search firm, conducted interviews, we've had candidates complete sample work exercises, and even held a city tour. It seems we've narrowed it down to 2 final candidates, yet we're still somehow at a standstill. We know we have, lots of things going on in East Point, and it seems difficult to move forward without a city manager in place, especially when we look at the fact that there's a lot of positions that we still have unfilled in the city, around 120 vacant positions. I understand there was a conversation about this recently. It's around an 18% vacancy rate, and I can't really imagine any organization or city running very effectively with an 18% vacancy rate. And it seems like hiring a city manager would be the first step in solving that problem. Sorry, let me figure out okay, yeah, I'm like bending over a lot. So just, wondering how much longer we'll kind of be stuck in this limbo, and curious what's causing the delay. And then the second issue is around the Commons development. Nearly a year has passed since one of the groundbreakings, and there really doesn't seem to be, at least, visibly any progress on the project. The latest information I could find on the city's website mentions an agreement back in 2021, but it's almost 2025 and there hasn't really been many updates. So it seems like something isn't going quite as planned. So just curious if we could get a clear or realistic update on what's going on. And then lastly, I would just like to express some concern about the pedestrian experience at the intersection of Irene Kidd Parkway and Washington Road. This is one of our major downtown intersections. It's the one with CVS and the Wings Place and a laundromat. Currently, the crosswalks are in a pretty bad condition. There's almost no visible paint left on these crosswalks. One of the corners is very dark. So I hope that, it looks like there's some construction in the area. So I do hope that when the construction's complete, we have safe crosswalks at one of our main intersections downtown. Thank you for your time.
Those are all the public comments we have this evening.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone who came to speak during public comments this evening. Next up are consent agenda items 12 through 26. Can we get a motion to adopt the consent agenda items 12 through 26? Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, need a motion to open the floor for discussion and possible action on the Stable Housing Accountability Program grant. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Jessie, the floor is open if we can get a presentation from staff.
Madam Mayor, the city has an opportunity to apply for a grant. The issue is we got short notice for it, and it has to be submitted before the next city council meeting. So we're bringing it forward tonight to present the budget and an overview of the project. It does require a 10% match, and Yolanda Johnson is the program manager for the Office of Equity. She's at a training session, so Shannon Golden is going to come and provide information on it. Shannon.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. The Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Empowerment is looking to pursue a grant, the Accountability Stability Grant for housing. Next slide, please. This grant is offered through the Department of Community Affairs, administered through the Department of Community Affairs. It was passed by House Bill 1410. Funds will be made available statewide to all sponsors, which the city is eligible to be a sponsor. Funding, $850,000 is available in program funding, the minimum being $25,000. The department is seeking to, for 505,000? Yeah. Which a 10% match to that amount would be $50,500. We have that budgeted in the department. The eligible service that they're looking at is everything that is mentioned on this slide except for the capital rehabilitation services. Next slide. And these are the operational expenses that relate to the grant that's eligible. And there's an application process that the staff is willing to pursue and have in by the deadline. And that deadline, those are just a required attachment, the deadline being next Monday, the 25th, November 25th, 2024. Let's get the budget up. Budget should be there. So the areas I just mentioned, there are several areas that they're budgeted for. Case management being one. They're looking to support staff of one full-time employee and one part-time employee through the grant of $100,000, which $10,000 would be a match. Emergency shelter would be $50,000, which $5,000 is the match. Long-term shelter and residential operations, $175,000, which $17,500 is 10%. Transportation, $17,420, of which 10% is $1,742. Nutrition, $48,000, and the corresponding 10%, $4,800. Childcare, $52,000, $5,200, 10%. And mental health services, $35,000, which 10% would be $3,500. And the last item that they will offer is substance abuse treatment services, which is $22,580, of which $2,258,000 is 10%. Also, operational costs. They're looking to add equipment, tablets for the field, so they can better serve their clients. Questions in regards to application process?
Councilmember Cummings?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your presentation. I question the $50,500 that you're asking us to match. Is that, do we have to put that up right now, or is that if we are awarded the money, the grant money?
That's if we awarded the
So if
grant.
we are awarded the grant money, then we'll, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And how many are on staff currently in this department? Two. You have two? Okay.
It's three.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I yield.
Freely?
Thank you for the presentation. Could we just take a step back? And I know you're standing in for Ms. Johnson, but can we get a better understanding of what does the program do exactly?
Sure. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah. The program is a support.
I'm sorry. Let me introduce our member here. This is our grant coordinator, Victor Cephas. So he's going to talk about, because he's working with Yolanda on the grant, so he's more familiar with the programming.
1 second, guys. So the program is a support services program for the homeless and getting them into long-term housing. So on the screen behind you, there's a various amount of item or services that we provide that promotes long-term housing versus just an emergency solution.
Two more questions. Do we have any sense, based on the amount that we plan to apply for, how many people could we potentially impact?
The target is between 50 and 150.
50 and 150.
Individuals and families.
Okay.
Like a mix of.
And then final question, it looks like there's some staffing dollars involved, or is and I know we're only doing 10,000 of that in theory. Are those city staff, or how is it staffed? New staff?
That would be new staffing that's supported by the grant. That would be made up front. I mean, they would be known up front that, hey, this position is supported by the grant. Once the grant is over, that position would be
Okay, so
over.
they'd be term positions, and that would be clear from the start.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilmember Martin, right?
Thank you, and thank you so much for your presentation. How often is this grant, how often can we apply for this grant to enhance our, the Office of Equity and Inclusion and Empowerment?
So currently, it's a new grant, so this is the first year that it's been enrolled or introduced, and we hope that next year it will continue.
Okay.
So as of now, it's a new grant, and this is the pilot year for the grant. It is
All
an
right.
annual, it's forecasted to be an annual grant, but we'll see how that goes next year.
All right, and then my last question is, how many other cities are applying? Do you have a speculation as to how many other people are buying for the grant?
Not a direct speculation, but during the info session, there were hundreds of people on the info session.
Okay.
So.
All right, thank you.
Councilmember Cummings, I saw you back in. And so, Ms. Jessie, council is asking, I mean, not council, staff is asking for us to approve it because of the 10% match.
Yes, ma'am. And the other thing I wanted to say in regards to the project and the number of other cities, one of the really good things about this is that we have a track record already. So many of you know, and I know, well, I don't see Chief, but we get many, many calls from residents and some of you about individuals who are homeless and who are sleeping in various parts of the city. And this would allow us to expand on the work that we're currently doing to not only get them, I know Yolanda, Ms. Johnson already tries to get them into stable housing, but she can't do that all the times. Sometimes it's just on an emergency basis, but this would really allow her to really aggressively meet more the needs of the homeless. So yes, we would be asking for your approval because of the match.
Councilmember Cummings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you again for the presentation. I know one of the main goals is, you know, you have the homeless people to make sure that we ensure we're trying to get long-term housing for them. City of Atlanta has a program, it's the Melody, which is, it's a set, I think they may have about 50. They're Connex box houses. And it's just what they use as a transition type facility. They give them all the different services. I see all these services here that you have, so they're able to afford those residents those opportunities. So I don't know if maybe some of that grant money, maybe we can look at that, but it's actually a community, and it's on not even a quarter of an acre lot, but it's right smack dab in the middle of downtown Atlanta. But a builder came in and they just outfitted these Connex boxes. It gives them, they have a curfew, there are rules and things that they have to apply to. So I think it'd be something good to look at, because I know when we talk about the homeless people and, you know, eventually transitioning them into long-term housing, the thing we want to make sure that they're able to maintain that housing. And I think with these services here that we provide, I think it's an awesome opportunity. But living in that complex that they have, it allows them the opportunity to be able to, you know, give those constant services that they need to make sure that they will be able to, you know, maintain some stable housing. So I don't know if you just kind of like take some notes on that, but just sort of look up the Melody in Atlanta. But that's something that they do, and I think that would be real good. It would coincide with this here. I yield.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. I just had a couple questions. I'm sorry I had to run to the restroom. But how much is this grant for, or expecting to be?
Oh, sorry. 505,000.
Okay, and when you say match funding, so what would that do, or where would that money go?
It's already budgeted in the Office of Equity and Inclusion, so those funds will be used as the grant is used.
To kind of subsidize the grant, or?
No, it's just a part of, you have to match. The match is just a part of the expenditure of the whole grant.
So expecting probably around $50,000 or so?
It's 50,500.
Okay.
And most of your reimbursement grants have a match portion on it.
Okay. All right, thanks.
This is a reimbursement grant?
Yeah, it's reimbursable, yes.
Yeah.
So that means we have to budget $505,000 to get reimbursed.
No, we will apply for it. We will use the match, the 50,500, and they will.
You gotta talk in the mic.
We will use the 50,500 as a match to apply for the grant, and then we will be awarded. We're looking to be seeking to awarded this amount.
No, but I hear what you're saying, but it was just said that this is a reimbursement grant. Reimbursement grants mean you actually have to have the funding for the full amount and then eventually get reimbursed.
No, this is not a reimbursement grant. No.
Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, I misspoke about that.
Yeah, sorry.
Which one is it? Because 50,500 is totally different than 505,000.
Right.
I mean, tithe on 505,000 is different than the full amount.
It's not a reimbursable grant.
Okay. If council approves it, it's the 10% match of 50,500.
Yes,
Correct.
that's what's
If there's something different, that part, you have to go do some fundraising, you have to call some philanthropy or something. So let me say thank you to the staff and the Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Empowerment. Yolanda Johnson has been doing an amazing job and now has been joined by Shannon and Frank, who are sitting here. Amazingly enough, Shannon used to be in the city clerk's office, but she was a former Department of Children and Families worker and has worked in social services for quite some time prior to coming here, and has found her passion again with this work. And then Frank is helping us with our housing work, so I want to say thank you to them. Ms. Johnson, I think her last number that she shared at the event on November 7th has helped, I think it was around 240 people experiencing homelessness actually become housed. And I've been at city events where she's there, like, sharing information, and then, like, I got to leave because I'm going to help people move in. So it's like she's literally really been working, and Ms. Shannon shares her passion. And so, Ms. Jessie, I see that Shannon has come to the podium. I don't know if you would like for her to say anything or additional.
I think she was coming to give reference to your numbers.
The numbers, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So as of October 2nd to now, we have intaked 716 clients, and out of 716, we have assisted 500, and that's either with giving them outside resources that we partner with, or Ms. Johnson doing a resource herself.
Thank you all so much for the work. Councilmember Butler.
Madam Mayor, we can discuss this at a work session, but I was just thinking maybe we could outsource these services like we do the jail, and where cities can pay into it. It's something we can talk about.
So I think good idea, but this grant probably has restrictions on sub-grantees. But I know that I get phone calls or text messages from sorority sisters who live in other places and people who live in other cities who've heard about the services that we provide. And I've shared that information with Ms. Johnson, just like a lot of us have. And I know she helps them and tries to connect them. So we haven't been exclusive, but to the point of, when these, and during COVID, when Fulton County gave the opportunity to the 14 cities outside of Atlanta in the county to apply for funds to help in this way, East Point was the only city that applied. And that's how we were able to start this work. So there might be, as we continue to look at the data, the other thing that I think is going to help us with this grant, as Ms. Jessie mentioned, we have data, we have information around who we've helped. She's done a need assessment to know what people need. I mean, there's been a lot of work that's been happening that hopefully positions us for this funding. So that thought of, being that city to connect is something that we can explore with quite a bit more funding, but yeah. Councilmember Martin.
I wanted to make the motion. Yes, I would like to make the motion to approve.
I have a question.
I'm sorry.
You want to go in on discussion on the motion or before?
I can.
Okay. I'd like to make the motion to approve the Stable Housing Accountability Program grant presented by the Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Empowerment.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Discussion, Councilmember Shropshire.
So here's my question. Is this grant only for the homeless, or will it help other people that are in need in the city? It helps all.
I think it's people experiencing homelessness.
It's for the homeless, but it encompasses various aspects of homeless, whether it be transportation issues, housing issues,
Or people on the verge of being homeless.
Yes.
That's
okay.
That
demographic counts into the homeless population.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Those in favor, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Comments from council? Councilmember Martin Rogers.
Yes, thank you so much, Madam Mayor, and thank you so much, engaged East Pointers. You're invited to attend Warm Wishes with Ward D, a holiday gathering and community celebration on Saturday, December 7th, 2024, from 10 a.m. until 12 noon. The location is the Word of Faith Love Center at 2435 Ben Hill Road in East Point, Georgia, 30344. Please celebrate the holidays with Ward D. We are asking that people, of course, RSVP is not required, but it is strongly encouraged. And if you could bring the donation of one non-perishable food item that will be delivered later on to a local food pantry right here in East Point. That day again is Saturday, December 7th, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for everyone that attended the meeting, both in person and via live stream. This is actually for all of our city employees. Wanted to let everybody know that this is my third annual 100 Givings of Thanks turkey giveaway. And we have boxes that I've placed in the power department, sanitation, customer care, the annex, power, fleet, LOC building, Parks and Rec, and City Hall in both break rooms. And I will be giving away turkeys, bunches of collard greens, and Patti LaBelle pies. So there are boxes that are in all of these departments. I'm just asking that all city employees just take your, you'll put your name, your department, and a contact phone number on there, and I will draw 100 names. And from there, you guys will be recipients of that. What I'd like to do, I do have an ask. I would like to, normally I go to First Malibu, but I would like to do it in the rear of the customer care parking lot, if that's okay. We'll do it from 10 to 12 o'clock, just employees, they just kind of ride around. I'm sorry, on the 25th, November 25th, the Monday before Thanksgiving. No, next Monday. 18th, yes, so the following Monday, yes. So, yes, a motion to request the use of the customer care parking lot for the pickup from 10 a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. Monday, November 25th, 2024.
Second. Been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, and that is all. Thank you.
Councilmember Councilmember Shropshire.
Thank you. Please assist the City of East Point and the Zeta Phi Beta sorority by donating non-perishable food items to help our citizens that are in need. Donation locations drop-off are East Point City Hall from 8 to 5 and any East Point Fire Station from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The final day for the non-perishable food item donation is going to be on November the 22nd. So please, if you have any non-perishable food items that you can donate to help out, that would greatly be appreciated. And we do want to invite you out to the City of East Point. Mayor and Council presents the turkey giveaway on November the 23rd, starting at 10 a.m. at Jefferson Park Recreation Center. On that Saturday, we do ask that you come out. You'll be an East Point resident, and there will be other items that we're also including to give away as well. But that is the turkey giveaway on November 23rd, 10 a.m. at Jefferson Park Recreation Center. That's this Saturday. Thank you.
Councilmember Butler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I would like to thank Council for allowing us to have the presentation today. The next thing I would like to do is acknowledge the hard work of Councilwoman Shropshire and others for the turkey giveaway that will be on the 23rd. As you know, we do provide a second location for turkey giveaways too, and that is in the East Point Police Station on Washington Road in East Point. And so it's Ward C and D turkey giveaway. Saturday, November 23rd, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So it's just a second opportunity for people to get turkeys. And it's in no way to take away from the good work that other colleagues do. The second announcement is on December 5th, which is a Thursday, we're going to have our Silver Fox Ball. This is our 7th annual Silver Fox Ball. And we look for people to RSVP with the city clerk's office. You get 1+1, so everybody needs to RSVP. So that email address is cityclerkstaff@eastpointcity.org. I repeat, cityclerkstaff@eastpointcity.org. Or for those who prefer to use the phone, you may call the city clerk's office at 404-270-7090. So we look forward to you attending the 7th annual Silver Fox Ball. Thank you very much.
Any other council comments?
It will be at 2020 Convention Center Concourse, the Atlanta Airport Marriott Gateway.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor and members of council, I wanted to apologize for those of you who may not have gotten notice about the open house, the FY fiscal year 26 open house that we had. We plan to have fall budget open houses, so we had one last Thursday here in the City Council chambers, and there will be another one on this Thursday, which will be online, and we'll have a notice on the city's website. So the next one will be November 21st, and it will be a virtual open house. We go over, the finance department provides an overview of the budget process, the funds that are included in the budget, the organizational chart for the city, strategic plan, and just to start to familiarize our residents with the budget process.
Anything else, Ms. Jessie?
No, ma'am, that's it.
Okay. So a couple things. Yesterday, Jefferson Avenue Baptist Church had a service to celebrate and honor Reverend Robbie Jackson for 30 years of service. He's retiring from ministry. Reverend Robbie, I call him, has definitely been a friend and a confidant, has been very supportive of our prayer breakfasts and other initiatives within the city, as well as facilitating the hosting of community meetings at the church, and just very engaged and involved. So I attended the service on yesterday, and it was a beautiful celebration, and provided a proclamation on behalf of the city proclaiming yesterday as Reverend Robbie Jackson Day in the city, honoring his commitment and service and dedication to our community over for 3 decades. Also, the Ward B at-large runoff election is on December 3rd. That's actual election day. Early voting starts this Saturday, November 23rd, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can also vote on Sunday, November 24th from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m., and then Monday through Wednesday, the November 25th to November 27th, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. There are just a few early voting locations throughout the county. There's only one other runoff, and that deals with the race in Atlanta. The East Point location for early voting is, again, East Point First Malibu United Methodist Church, located at 2651 North Church Street in our great city. On Election Day, you will have to go to your assigned polling precinct to vote. And again, Election Day is December the 3rd. There will be, and I mentioned it last week, that the developer for the property located at Sylvan Road and North Central Avenue is working on a community meeting to have a discussion about the redevelopment of that site, which is, again, Sylvan Road and North Central Avenue, which is at the gateway or immediately adjacent to our Hateville border. That community meeting will be held on Monday, November 25th at 6 p.m. at the City Annex, 3121 Norman Berry Drive. Information will be shared with the community tomorrow, hopefully, so that that information can get out. It borders East Point and Hateville, so we also, in addition to East Point residents coming, expect to see that there will possibly be residents from Hateville. The mayor of Hateville, Mayor Hallman, is planning to be there as well to join in this discussion, given this is a development of regional impact. Me and my family will host our 6th annual, it's going to be on Monday, November 25th at 6 p.m. at the East Point City Annex, 3121 Norman Berry Drive, the community meeting with the developer for Sylvan Road and North Central Avenue. This Thanksgiving Day, me and my family invite you to join us for our 6th annual Thanksgiving Brunch Community Table. Join us for a time of Thanksgiving fellowship and community connections. It will be at East Point First Malibu United Methodist Church, 2651 North Church Street in East Point. There is to dine on site. We ask that you register. It's not required, but it helps us prepare for the number of people we should expect. You can do that online at bit.ly/6th Thanksgiving Brunch. Again, that's bit.ly/6th Thanksgiving Brunch, or call 404-270-7091. There will be a drive-through brunch for people who just want to drive through and get something to go from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. only. No registration is required for drive-through. And we will also have a winter essentials drive. You can drop off coats, blankets, socks, and toiletries. Again, that's November 28th, Thanksgiving Day, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at East Point First Malibu United Methodist Church. So please join us. If you're cooking and you have a lot of people in your house and you want to send them somewhere for a minute, you can send them over here to have brunch with us. Also for people in the community who just want to connect, people who may be experiencing homelessness, or this might be the first Thanksgiving that someone may have lost a loved one and will be celebrating alone. So it's really a community table, no labels. Just pull up a chair at the community table and join us for Thanksgiving brunch. It will be catered again by celebrity chef the Fun with Edge. Want to thank our partners and sponsors: Chick-fil-A, The Common Market, 100 Black Men in South Metro, Georgia Power, East Point First Malibu United Methodist Church, Metals and Materials Engineers, Right Hand Foundation, and Amazon. Also, to volunteer, you can call our office. Again, that number is 404-270-7091 to either volunteer or for more information, or to RSVP for the brunch. We look forward to enjoying a time of fellowship and connection with you on Thanksgiving Day. I think that is all that I have. Do we have any executive session items?
Madam Mayor, legal has 3 litigation matters and 2 property.
One real estate, 3 litigation. Ms. Jessie,
No, ma'am.
counsel,
Personnel?
1 personnel.
Mhm.
Any others from council?
Personnel.
2 personnel. So we have 3 legal, 1 real estate, and 2 personnel. Can I get a motion to recess into executive session?
Adjourn into executive session for
3
legal, 2 legal,
3.
3 legal, 1 real estate, and 2 personnel.
So moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded that we recess into executive session for 3 legal, 1 real estate, and 2 personnel. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We're in recess. Can I get a motion to reconvene?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. In the matter of also Brooks conciliation, need a motion to proceed as discussed in executive session.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Roll call. Roll call. I gotta do roll call. You say name.
Councilmember Shropshire. Councilmember Freely. Councilmember Ziegler. Councilmember Cummings. Councilmember Mitchell. Councilmember, Butler. Councilmember Mark Rogers. Mayor Holiday Ingram, the motion passed.
In the matter of Wilson versus City of East Point, motion to proceed is discussed in executive session. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to proceed as discussed in executive session as to the permanent city manager. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? To proceed as discussed in executive session as to the permanent city manager. Okay, and I see the city attorney light on too.
If this is not the motion for appointment, if this is the motion for appointment, we have to say a name. If it's
It's
not,
not.
okay, but then, okay.
Councilmember Shropshire. Yeah, I think proceed as discussed so that we can't make that decision until after we proceed as discussed. Yes, because those discussions still are not public, they're confidential.
Correct. I think maybe to satisfy Councilmember Shropshire's concern is motion to authorize the city attorney to proceed as discussed, right? So we are clear that we ain't even there at the point of any appointment. We are still in conversations that are protected by the executive session.
So who, you moved, Councilmember? So Councilmember Shropshire, you want to do a friendly amendment?
Well, I mean, if we're moving to do it, I want to have a conversation as to why I'm going to vote the way that I do.
Right, so tonight is not to make the final decision because there are some steps that have to take place before that can even happen.
But I'm not in agreement to the selection.
So let me do it this way. Councilmember, who made the motion? Councilmember Freely the city attorney has suggested that the motion be to authorize the city attorney to proceed as discussed in executive session as it relates to the permanent city manager. The motion, I haven't called for the question, so it could be amended. And so can you amend the motion as such? Is that right, attorney?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So I would
Pressure button.
move to amend the motion.
No, just say, I'd like to amend my motion.
I'd like to
the
amend my
following.
motion to read, instruct the city attorney to proceed as discussed in executive session regarding the permanent city manager.
Okay, and then who seconded? Does your second still stand? Okay, discussion, Councilmember Shropshire,
Discussion.
go ahead.
So I am for the city and the city manager because I do feel that one is needed. What I am not for is someone who is less qualified for the position. That's the role, that's my position. And I will ask, when will the documents be available to the public?
Oh, so I don't recall what the Open Records Act says about, I think there is a time period after after the appointment is actually made for that to happen. City
will-
attorney,
Clarify that in about 30 seconds.
okay. Councilmember Martin, I was just going to the attorney.
And I would like to formally go on record as well with my council colleague, Councilmember Sharon Shropshire. I am all for hiring a qualified best candidate. And in this effort, this is not the best qualified candidate. Thank you. And I'd also like to know when those documents will be ready for public consumption.
And I think the comments are appropriate when we get to the stage of you guys making a motion of the appointment, right? We're not there yet. And so right now, your motion or the motion on the floor is to authorize the city attorney to proceed as discussed. And then at that time, it'll come back to you guys with the information I gather for you to make a determination if a new motion will be made to appoint, right? But the public records portion of this is in 50-1872, and it provides that disclosure of records is prohibited. Disclosure of records which identify persons applying for or under consideration for employment or appointment as executive head of an agency are exempt, provided, however, that at least 14 days prior to the meeting at which final action or vote is to be taken on the position of executive head of an agency, or 5 days prior to the meeting at which final, this don't apply to y'all not the University of Georgia, all documents concerning as many as 3 persons under consideration whom the agency has determined to be the best qualified for the position shall be subject to inspection and copying. Prior to the release of these documents, an agency may allow such a person to decline being considered further for the position rather than have documents pertaining to such person released. So you can release people from the process, right? So that they're not subject to this disclosure 14 days prior to the final vote.
All right. Okay, Councilman Martin Rogers.
Okay, and Madam City Attorney, my follow-up question to that is, so 14 days prior to the vote on the candidate, the information can be disclosed. Now, does that information have to be redacted and then put out there, or can the information be put out there for the top 2 candidates?
So I'm going to say this regarding that. There's a level of confidentiality that has been requested by candidates if they don't move forward. And the law gives the opportunity for people to be able to exclude themselves from the process so that their information isn't released. So,
And the only information, it says upon request, the hiring agent shall furnish the number of applicants and the composition of the list by such factors as race and sex. So it's not gonna be the whole resume
okay, it's not
packet.
there, okay. It's not the names. Does it
No,
include
no.
names?
Yes, it would include names.
So, I think, I think, I didn't hear it. I think,
I got my mic on, so I got my light on.
I can, I would strongly encourage council to ensure that level of confidentiality is maintained, especially as it relates to who does not move forward because they are gainfully employed and information could impact their employment. And there's been a request that information not be disclosed if they are not selected.
So it says many as three, right? So it's technically the top 3 people would be subject to disclosure, right? Everybody else, if so fit, you release from the process, so they're not subject to this disclosure. Or it's 2, or you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be your entire pool.
I was gonna ask that too. So that's gonna be my question, because neither one of these people were my top candidates. So I thought there were more qualified people out there. So it's like, do we release?
Councilmember Mitchell, based on the process, they are.
I mean, okay, they weren't my top picks, and I think I expressed that during that time. But so it's 3 people. So is there a limit on how many, I guess, information or what can be released?
It just
or how
says as
people?
many as 3, right? So
As
it could
many
be
as
less
3.
than 3.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So we did have a process, and the process included scoring. And all the people in the process were scored. Whether or not the people are the top based upon how we feel is not really feelings, it's the process. I also will say and remind council that the law allows us to have these discussion in executive sessions for a reason. The people we are considering are gainfully employed. And so, one, at this juncture, the information still cannot be shared publicly because we're not at that juncture, and the discussions of the details and the people have been had in executive session. When it is at the point where a public motion is made and people named and a person named, then that information can be shared. Executive session is privileged and confidential for a reason, and disclosure of information in executive session is a potential ethics violation. And so as we try to navigate this process, and it has been some time, we have to remember that people that we are considering are gainfully employed, and decisions we make, statements we make, information that becomes public could potentially impact them. So I would ask you all to think about it from that perspective and make sure that we are not doing, that we're doing no harm, right, in a process of actually trying to get a leader in our city. Councilmember Butler.
Madam Mayor, I want to take this time to commend you and to thank you for your words. I think that you've been very wise in your counsel to the council, as I want to make that public acknowledgement of what you're doing. I think that you're on the right track, and I think discretion is key in this instance, because we have to work with whom we choose. And if you're going to vilify them and alienate them before they get here, it's going to provide a hostile work environment. And we don't want to do that as soon as the person gets here. So I want to go on record to thank you and for what you're saying.
So there's a motion on the floor to authorize the city attorney to proceed as discussed in executive session regarding a permanent city manager. The amended motion was, the second still stood on the amended motion. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor? All those opposed?
No.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Shropshire? Councilmember Freely? Councilmember Ziegler? Councilmember Cummins? Councilmember Mitchell? Councilmember Butler? Councilmember Martin Rogers? The motion passed.
Madam City Attorney, I didn't leave any items off, right? I'm not gonna put that on the record. All right, can we get a motion to approve executive session meeting minutes? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in, oh yeah, I got ahead of myself. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Good night, East Pointers.